Good evening. Calling the Antioch Police Oversight Commission meeting to order. Can I have a roll call, please?
Thank you. Commissioner Solis is absent. Commissioner Benoni,
Present.
Commissioner Peterson,
Present.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Present.
Commissioner Lacey Oha is absent. Vice Chair Williams is absent. Chair Taylor.
Present.
We have a quorum at 6:31 with 4 commissioners present. Thank you.
Thank you. And can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Noting that Commissioner Lacey Oha is present at 6:31. For our consent calendar items, it's recommended that we move forward or approve the minute meetings from April 20th, 2026, and also from May 4th, 2026. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Can we have a vote, please?
Thank you. Commissioner Solis is absent. Commissioner Benoni,
Aye.
Commissioner Peterson,
Aye.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Aye.
Commissioner Lacey Oha.
Aye.
Vice Chair is absent. Vice Chair Williams is absent. And Chair Taylor.
Aye.
The motion passes to approve the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we'll have a presentation by the Director of the Public Safety Department, Ms. Montserrat Cabral.
Good evening, Madam Chair Taylor and Commissioners. My name is Montserrat Cabral, and I'm the Director of the Public Safety and Community Resources Department. Super exciting to be here. Let me just make sure. Okay. Thank you for the opportunity to present tonight. I'm here to provide an overview of the department's work and how these efforts support community safety, prevention, intervention, and resident well-being throughout Antioch. I talk really quickly. I tell this to folks. If you need me to slow down, just signal to me. But this is all very exciting for all of us. As you can see, that's the wonderful department back there. Our department was established in 2022 with the understanding that public safety extends beyond traditional enforcement methods. Our department focuses on prevention, intervention, stabilization, housing security, youth opportunity, and community resilience. The department includes 3 major service areas: housing services, violence intervention and prevention, and the youth services network. Together, these divisions provide direct support to residents through housing assistance, violence interruption, outreach, youth development, crisis response, and community engagement initiatives. We're small but mighty. Like, look at that picture. It's like 2 of us. And we have 1 position currently frozen, which is the community engagement coordinator. And everything you're about to see is done by these 8 amazing people. We have 5 part-timers, youth part-timers, who absolutely fill us all with joy. There's nothing better than to walk through the office. Our office isn't big, but it's big in heart and spirit. And when you see youth and young adults helping us do the works that change the community, it's really inspirational to see. But I digress. I have a script, because then I tend to go off. I lead and I support and I manage the department, overseeing housing services, public safety initiatives, and youth services. Our team works collaboratively across divisions to coordinate programs, respond to community needs, and also partner closely with nonprofits, county agencies, schools, and community organizations to expand services, improve outcomes for Antioch residents. Housing and homelessness. Housing stability is one of the most important factors connected to community safety. Health, and long-term well-being. Our department works to connect residents with housing resources, emergency assistance, stabilization services, and supportive programs that reduce displacement and homelessness while improving the quality of life. These are some of the core housing programs administered through the department, as you can see. We have Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG, Permanent Local Housing Allocation, which is PLHA, Housing Successor, Fair Housing Services, Tenant and Landlord Support, Eviction Protection Efforts, rent-related programs and resources for unsheltered residents. The overall goal in this division is to provide both immediate assistance and long-term housing stability for vulnerable residents and families. This is an overview of just this 1 year through the CDBG funded programs. As you can see, to date, more than 5,000 residents, and that was done by only one person, residents have been served across multiple program categories. The largest area of service includes homeless services and shelters, followed by public services and community well-being initiatives. Additional support has included workforce development, fair housing, tenant protection, affordable housing assistance, and youth services. These numbers demonstrate the broad community impact of the department's work. I also want to say that we have had a long-term CDBG consultant, Terry House, who has really helped shape what CDBG looks like and the kind of work that we do with the community members. Encampment Resolution Fund. This was one of my first children, this one, 6.6. We received more than $6.6 million to support encampment resolutions, motel stabilization, core services, and housing-focused interventions. Through this effort, participants have received temporary shelter, pathways towards permanent housing, and stabilization services. While challenges remain, the program has already resulted in several positive exits into stable housing and continue to provide critical support to vulnerable residents. We will be reapplying for another ERF grant that will take us for another 2 years, and we'll focus on a different encampment in the city of Antioch. Youth Services Network. Before I served as a director, I was the manager of youth services, so I feel passionately about everything. If you know me, this is who I am all the time. YSN, or Youth Services Network, focuses on creating positive opportunities for Antioch youth throughout workforce development, mentorship, leadership programming, recreation, and community engagement. The goal is to provide safe spaces and meaningful opportunities that help young people build confidence, strengthen relationships, and prepare for future successes. We serve everyone from the ages of 12 to 26. No. This slide outlines our youth internship and leadership programs. Programs such as SOAR, Stand Out, Achieve, and Rise, Springboard, Builds, the Antioch Council of Teens, and Youth in Government provide paid internship, workforce training, civic engagement opportunities, mentorship, and leadership development for young people, ages 12 to 26. These initiatives are designed to expose youth to career pathways, strengthen life skills, and increase positive community involvement. I would just like to highlight that Commissioner Ben-Oni was a SOAR intern and left the internship early so that he can serve on as a commissioner. If this isn't, results-driven work. Full circle. This slide highlights the Youth Services Grant Network. Part of the dream, right, so to say, in 2021, 2022, was to create a department, a division that really focused on bridging the nonprofits and CBOs, or community-based organizations in the community, with the resources and the residents. So we have a pot of money that we use for grants, administered through an RFP process. There's a competitive process that the city awards this past year. We awarded nearly $400,000 to local nonprofits serving Antioch youth and young adults. These partnerships expand access to tutoring, the arts, sports, social emotional wellness services, workforce readiness, and other enrichment opportunities that directly support youth development and community connection. The youth services events, this was also very much driven by the fact that youth, after taking a survey and a community assessment, the youth were like, we don't have anywhere to hang out that feels safe. We don't have a mall here. We don't have a movie here. So what can we do that feels like we can just be Who doesn't want to just be? So we developed our youth services events, and we do teen hike, we do teen movies, teen skate. We've had painting nights. We just finished doing a Paint Your Kicks event, which was really successful, a bowling night. And I think that part of the biggest outcome that has come from it, because I can give you all the numbers, but the biggest has been the building of relationship and developing the social connections. When you have a young person come back and say, when I come here, I feel safe. When I come here, I feel like I have a connection. I don't have that at home. I have fill in the blank at home. And I think that in itself is extremely powerful. Now we're going to transition into violence intervention and prevention, the section of this presentation. This work focuses on reducing violence through prevention, intervention, outreach, and community-based support strategies. Rather than relying solely on enforcement approaches, which we work very closely with APD, these programs prioritize relationship building, crisis response, mentorship, healing-centered engagement, and coordinated services for individuals and families most impacted by violence. Through partnerships and community organizations, service providers, and residents, Antioch continues to create safer neighborhoods while investing in long-term community stability and well-being. I now present to you Alicia Espinosa, who is our Public Safety Manager.
Thank you, Director Cabral, and good evening, Commissioners. My name is Alicia Espinosa, and I am the newish Public Safety Manager. It is a pleasure to be here and present the work being done in the Violence Prevention and Intervention Division. Thank you for having our department. First, I'd like to briefly state the division's mission to broadly contextualize the work being done. That is that we work to reduce violence and promote community safety through prevention programs, outreach, and direct intervention services. By collaborating with trusted community partners, we provide pathways to healing, stability, and long-term safety. Currently, we are executing this via 3 main pillars. 1, via our partnership with the Angelo Quinto Community Response Team, who offers a trauma-informed response to behavior-related non-law enforcement triage calls from 911 dispatch. 2, via the implementation of our Beyond Violence program, administered with Calvert funding, which works to reduce gun violence through relationship-based street outreach, mentorship, and wraparound services. And 3, via ongoing community events and initiatives that keep us visible as a reliant source of support, building trust with the community, and of course, serving to link and refer folks to needed resources as a form of violence prevention. So next slide, please. So kind of to orient you to the flow of the presentation, I will take you through 3 of our aforementioned pillars via 2 lenses, operationally and community impact. This slide depicts how AQCRT supports Antioch operationally. So I will draw your attention to the slide. In number 1, a behavioral health or community concern is dispatched via 911, at which point a dispatcher appropriately triages the call and identifies it as nonviolent, non-medical, and something that can be de-escalated by the AQCRT team. Number 2, the second step is that AQCRT community response specialists are deployed to the scene of the call. 3, the AQRC team de-escalates situations on scene, providing assessment, support, and immediate resources. And then 4, individuals are linked to the appropriate services and follow-up care to promote stability and well-being. So AQRCT strengthens Antioch's emergency response system by partnering with APD, EMS, behavioral health providers, and community organizations to ensure residents receive compassionate care and the right level of support. Next slide, please. So this slide depicts AQCRT's community impact with data derived from their most recent impact report from May 2023 through December 2025. And during that time, AQCRT responded to 13,461 calls of which 12,641 were diverted from police and EMS. That's 94% of those calls received. And the response time was 8.3 minutes, which was average. And then the total amount of problems or heightened situations that were de-escalated on scene were 8,068. And then I'll draw you to the middle of the screen there. Those are the top call types coming into AQCRT. The majority are welfare checks at 5,583. Next are relocated unwanted guests or loitering at 3,859. And lastly, there are noise party complaints at 2,065 calls. And so I'll draw your attention to community impact highlights. 224 referrals, intakes were conducted, connecting individuals to needed services. 115 individuals connected to behavioral health follow-up. 357 APD collaborative handoffs, and 463 EMS coordinated responses, ensuring medical needs are met when required. Next slide, please. So this slide depicts AQCRT's community impact with, this slide depicts a funding snapshot. Our contract with AQCRT holds $5.7 million in ARPA funds. As you know, ARPA funds, which were administered initially during the COVID-19 pandemic, are unfortunately sunsetting December 2026. For continuity of this beloved and effective community program, we are diligently exploring all potential funding sources and hope for continued City of Antioch General Fund support. Next slide, please. So switching gears now to talk about our second pillar, the work being done via the CalVIP grant. This was awarded to us for the second year in a row by the Board and State of Community Corrections. The foundational goal of the grant is to reduce gun violence by funding community-based, evidence-informed violence intervention strategies that interrupt cycles of retaliation and support individuals at highest risk of engaging in gun violence. So the question becomes, how are we implementing this? We are currently utilizing a three-pronged approach. Our first prong is our continued utilization of the Advanced Peace Model, which is a proprietary, evidence-informed community violence intervention approach that reduces gun violence by engaging individuals at highest risk of inflicting gun violence, more specifically, shooters and those that have been shot. This is done via actual boots on the ground by dispatching folks with lived experience to impacted areas. These folks are often called neighborhood change agents, violence interrupters, program specialists, or community resource specialists. They not only know the culture of the streets, but also understand cycles of gun violence, not only what causes them, but what disrupts them. The relationship they cultivate with program participants, whom we call fellows, are the heart of the work. That trust is leveraged to build effective reciprocal relationships where the program participant or fellow willingly engages in goal setting and stabilization. These relationships are crucial as they facilitate de-escalation, mentorship, incentives, supports, linkage and referrals, and wraparound services with the ultimate goal of stopping gun violence and keeping people alive. Our second prong is the utilization of an evaluator to gauge, analyze, and support data. Evident Change continues to be our evaluator for CalVIP 5. They serve as an independent evaluator using data analysis, research, and outcome measurements to assess program efficacy, impact, and community dynamics. Our third prong is the strategic use of the database platform made specifically to record this kind of work. The UC Berkeley Center for Global Healthy Cities database and evaluation framework tracks community violence and intervention outcomes, participant engagement, conflict mediations, and gun violence trends to measure the impact of evidence-informed public safety strategies. This data management platform is crucial as it helps us tell our story, track community impact, and identify areas of growth. Next slide, please. So this slide depicts our actual program funded via CalVIP called Strength Beyond Violence. This data from 2023 to March 2026 is representative of the CalVIP 4 cycle. when the boots on the ground work was RFP'd and done by local CBO, one day at a time, or ODAT for short. During that time, 19 fellows were engaged. Again, we use the term fellows for program participants, as the whole experience is a fellowship of folks progressing together. Our current program specialist previously did this work for ODAT, and he is now doing it in-house, which has offered consistent support and engagement with a growing number of fellows, currently at 12 under under CalVIT 5 and growing. So I'll call your attention to some of the impacts of the program. 100% of fellows remain alive with no gun violence engagement. 95% of fellows remain free from gun-related arrest or victimization. There were 29 successful interruptions to potential violent incidents, and there was 4,648 hours of community outreach and engagement done. And then I'll turn your attention to the circular little graph there. That's kind of a snapshot of who we served in our CalVIT 4 cohort. 90% had previously been incarcerated, 42% were Black, 27 Latinx, 11% Pacific Islander, 10% white, 5% Asian, and 5% mixed. So these are some really prevalent supports and stabilization outcomes there. You'll see all fellows received education and workforce training, employment support, behavioral health services, housing stabilization, reentry support. On the bottom little dark blue rectangle there, you'll see that 16 fellows successfully graduated the program. One fellow was relocated. And then I'd like to highlight in the right-hand bottom corner a transformative travel trip some fellows took to Puerto Rico. Transformative travel is a part of the advanced peace model where fellows who are meeting milestones get to experience life away from their situations, often offering a new perspective and an alternative worldview. Next slide, please. So this slide depicts the high-level impact and efficacy of the Beyond Violence program. You can see that there is definitely a measurable impact reducing violence and saving lives, because local studies in California estimate each fatal shooting costs taxpayers approximately $2.5 million in public safety and related costs. So we're not only saving lives via this program, we're saving a lot of coin. And then you'll see the kind of downward trajectory of gun-related deaths across the years. So 2023, 9, 2024, there was a bit of a spike. And then in 2025, during that window of 2024 and 2025 was when CalVIT 4 really geared up and we were implementing it. And so that has a lot to do with the reduction of gun-related deaths there. I think those are very much correlated. And then to date, we have, unfortunately, 2 gun-related deaths. We're hoping and praying it stays at 2. We're manifesting it stays at 2. But we are ready in the event there is a shooting to intervene and try to de-escalate and prevent any retaliatory action. Next slide, please. So lastly, this slide depicts the third pillar of our division, community engagement events from late 2024 to current. It is extremely important for us to have a presence in the community and not to do this work solely from behind a desk. It is crucial that our presence builds trust, facilitates healing, and provides dependability. We want our community to know we are here as a source of support and that we are accessible. So just really quickly to give you a rundown of these events. In October 24, we had our Empowerment and Healing Walk, which focused on empowerment, unity, trauma-informed support, and promoting peace within impacted neighborhoods. December 2024, we had our holiday engagement event in the Sycamore that provided free food, gifts, and supportive resources to local families while fostering community connection and celebrating the holiday season. In March 2026 of this year, we had our Sycamore Substation Grand opening, which, as you know, is a new Antioch Police Department substation in the Sycamore neighborhood, one of the areas most impacted by crime. The city-led investment focused not only on public safety, but on strengthening relationships, increasing access to services, and deepening community partnerships in the neighborhood. In February of 2026, we had Love Should Be Safe, which was a domestic violence awareness event. This was a community educational event focused on healthy relationships, domestic violence awareness, survivor support, and resource connection. In April 2026, we had Autism Awareness and Acceptance Day. This was a family-centered event promoting inclusion of all abilities, awareness, sensory-friendly activities, and community connection. Very recently, in late April 2026, we had our Roots and Rights citywide resource fair. This fair connected residents to housing, employment, mental health, legal services, immigration, and food supports. Currently launching, actually the first session is starting tomorrow at Antioch High School for a 6-week series every Tuesday from 6 to 7:30. This is a Heal the Heart Wellness series. It's a trauma-informed wellness series focused on healing, resilience, emotional well-being, and community connection. And then lastly, we have an upcoming Peace Walk on June 6th in the Sycamore Plaza. We're gonna do a loop, and that will be on June 6th from 10 to 12 that day. And this is a community peace and healing event honoring lives impacted by gun violence while promoting unity in violence prevention and solidarity as a community. And then the last, there we go. So this is, again, the impact of our community events gauged with attendance. You can see for our Empowerment and Healing Walk, we had 100+ participants. For our holiday engagement in the Sycamore area, we had 200+ families served. Love Should Be Safe, 300+ youth and parents attended our Sycamore substation. There was 15+ CBO partners there with us outreaching. Our Autism Awareness and Acceptance event, there was 10+ families in attendance that received services. And for our Roots and Rights citywide resource fairs, there was 20+ families that were connected to needed resources. So thank you so much for your time and interest. That was my presentation, but I'll end with this quote from our Director Cabral. She said, "When we show up for our residents, whether in crisis, in struggle, or in hope, we are shaping a community where possibility belongs to everyone." Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll open public comment and then if there are questions.
We do have one speaker for this presentation. That would be Leslie May, please.
Good evening, commissioners, staff, and community members. I want to say that I enjoyed that presentation. I wanted her not to turn it off because it was a couple of things I wanted to refer to that they showed. But I'm saying that 8 people, including youth, are able to do this work. I haven't been here because of my work schedule. I changed jobs, so I was working. And I couldn't be here. I didn't get off to 8. And my second part, then I had an accident. So, but I'm here now. So I don't want anybody to think, oh, she just wasn't here. No, it wasn't about that. I listed prevention, housing stabilization, public services and community well-being, youth services, and CDBG purchasing homes. These are very important points to bring up to this commission. You're working with the police department. I know, because I was a commissioner here, what the purpose of this commission is. I want to say that I get a lot of things in the background that some of you don't even get. I want you to fight. I came on to fight. I've been a fighter since I was 6 years old, and I'm 74 now. My parents and grandparents brought me into this fight for civil rights, for the rights of human beings to live and get part of this American dream. I want you to fight like everything to keep this commission going. I want you to fight for what it was established for. The only thing I see is that they do need somebody in mental health services to work with the participants, at least be able to talk with them, that participate in this community development, oversight, whatever they call it, public safety and community resources. We need you to fight for that office. Fight for them to be in the building they should be in. Fight like everything you have, because guess what? The only thing that you'll be left with is that your reputation will be that you didn't fight or you fought for the righteous. I want you to do what you were elected, what you were appointed to do, no matter what, no matter coercion or whatever, fight. This is the rights of everyone here in the community. I sent an email to the chief today saying I will volunteer my time, and I have a LLC and a 501c3 here in Antioch to go down and work at that substation any day they need me to offer the community my services. So I just want to say, fight.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Yes, we also have Crystal Law, please.
I just want to thank Montserrat and you guys for doing your job. You guys are amazing. I know that it's going to take time to get everything going, but I appreciate your fighting for it. I appreciate you guys implementing and doing what you're doing because it means a lot to this community. I just wanted to add, I do realize that it's going to take time to get people in the substation, to get people acclimated, but all I see is police over there, and I'm just going to I put it in my other comments as well, but since I have these comments, I'm going to use it too. There's a lot of hurting kids over there. I feed them all day. I'm over there all the time. I work out of La Bonita. I work in the deli back there. I'm there a lot, and so I work with a lot of people. There's a lot of hurt and a lot of pain in that area, and so the issue is that the kids are growing up, and they're growing up with that same mentality, that same the same issues, thinking that that's all that they have to hold on to. And a lot of that hurt and pain comes from their family members dying in the streets, from the racism that was in the police department. So I just want to say, I have a whole speech about that later, but I just want to say that if we can get some flyers to go up onto the wall to let people know, like, hey, there's commission meetings on this time, this day. I'll put them out if somebody can get me the flyers. I can't really do all that and say I can put the flyers out, but I can, if you guys get the flyers to me, I can put them out for you. I'm willing to go that extra mile so that there's people that want to talk, there's people that have stuff to say. They're not all bad people over there, and there's a lot of amazing people over there that just need a little oomph. So if we can get financial workshops, therapy workshops, things that the kids can get involved with, maybe some activities with the police and the children. I know that we had a couple of those prior. If we can do them right there in the park at Sycamore, I think it would really make a difference in getting the kids to be able to relate with the police officers and not just see them as, bad or coming over there trying to hem up their moms and their dads. It's a lot of hemming up now. They doing their job. We can't be mad at that, right? But what can we do to help these children to really kind of understand that it's not always, that they can have a life still that they can live.
Thank you.
No further comments. Thank you.
Discussion?
Yeah, I had a question about the way that AQCRT is funded. Are those American Rescue Plan funds? Those are expiring in, what year again?
It's expiring this year on December 2026.
And was there, and I can't remember what happened with this. Was there any conversation to ask for state funding for this?
There were conversations about that.
Okay.
I think that we have applied to several county-led efforts as well as state-led efforts. We work with some grant writers sometimes in order, and we haven't received notice on everything. We didn't receive the county funded ones.
Oh, okay. Was there any reason why?
I think that their priority for this year with Measure X funds was housing.
Okay. I was referring to state funds where the state was funding mobile units, mobile mental health response teams. And I just know this because I know that it's going to get cut this year in the budget, but there was grant funding for mobile response teams, and I was just curious if we applied specifically for that fund, and then if so, what was the result?
We had applied for those funds.
Okay.
Last I heard, we were waiting for one portion and we haven't received word on that, and the other we did not receive.
Okay. Did we reach out to our assembly member or state senator to ask why?
Yes, I believe the city manager at the time had reached out.
Okay. And so it's still out in the open?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Benoni, do you have questions?
Yeah, just a few questions. So I was looking at the community engagement events, and I was wondering what was the reason for the gap in 2025?
The gap in 25, you know my brain. Can I see the presentation? I think, you know, if I'm being fully transparent, we haven't had, you know, I wanted to show you a organizational chart of just before 4 months ago. In 4 months, we were able to hire Alicia as public safety manager. We built out the housing division and hired the housing manager, as well as the 2 housing coordinators and a youth services manager. So for a long time, it was only a handful, and that's ambitious, a hand, a few of us running it. So I think that in looking at the actual, like when I visually see it, I think it had to do with not having staff. You know, we had our, staffing.
Okay. Another question. I noticed that on the slide with the circle with the 90% have been previously incarcerated with the who we serve. I guess I noticed the demographics don't really explain the breakdown between men and women.
I believe that they're all men with the exception of one woman.
Okay. And then I guess my last question would be, so how can we best help you?
That's a very thoughtful question, Commissioner Benoni. I think you're doing it. I think that by having us present to you all, by the community seeing the impact of the department, the work that's being done, I think also spreading the word sometimes. You know, we use social media, we have flyers, we have connections with different nonprofits, but I think that it takes a village to raise a child, they say. I think it takes a village to do anything. We can go so much further if we're together doing things. And I think that the more we use all of us on any commission to be able to spread the word of the work being done and some of the initiatives coming out of the department, it would be beneficial. Because the most important thing is for it to benefit the community at large. And a lot of times, which, as you know, if you've seen council meetings, sometimes people get the department confused with law enforcement. You know, we're going through some name changes, so I think that the most important thing is just support and spreading the message. Thank you.
Good evening, Montserrat. I just have and I hope I pronounced your name correctly.
You did.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. I just have a question. Well, wondering if you could give me a summary of the resources and services for unsheltered residents, and I can explain why. Because I do know for a fact that there are residents who were born and raised here in Antioch who are still unsheltered. And I had gathered up some resources to get to this individual, but I noticed nothing hasn't changed, let me put it that way. Their condition have not changed. And So I was wondering if you could explain to me, if you see someone unhoused, do the department housing program go to the individual and offer services? And if the services are offered, I guess basically, I'm probably answering my own question, it's left up to that individual whether to take action. I know you all can't force a person to get off the streets, but I'm just curious to know, what all do you offer when you come across someone?
I mean, first, thank you, Commissioner Lacey Oha. I think that is loaded, right? The first part is the fact that you can't force anyone to change. They want to have to change. The second part is that we're part of a consortium, which means that most of the cities in Contra Costa County work together to provide services. So it's like a big bucket pot where we kind of troubleshoot, and also a bucket of funding. The third part is to call 211. That is the coordinated way in order to access the services. Once you call 211, CORE is dispatched. This is something that's also new to Antioch. CORE, we didn't have a partnership with the county before this department became in existence. We didn't have a CORE team dedicated to just Antioch. Now we have a CORE team, and that CORE team is funded through the ERF program, where 50% of CORE is dispatched for Antioch proper, so anywhere in Antioch, but the other 50% of their time has to be spent with ERF specific folks. Right now we're dealing with the Opportunity Village, so that's where ERF, that's being diverted. As a city, we also have some general fund money through homeless services or contracts and professional initiatives. For example, we fund the shower program, which operates every Tuesday and Friday, I want to say, or Thursday, can't remember. We also have the laundry voucher program. And again, this also, I say this, the caveat to this, the first one was that you can't help anyone who doesn't want to be helped. And the second part is that there is not a one-size-fits-all. Unhoused and housing instability looks very different from folk to folk. So sometimes people don't want to come inside, and that's just a truth that people don't want to hear. So how can we keep them safe and also consider our residents throughout Antioch? Part of that has to be where we offer them a plethora of resources. You have the shower program, you have the laundry voucher to be able to wash your clothes, and a lot of time, a lot of the personal stories that come out of that is always the dignity that they feel in just being clean. We have safe parking with the partnership with St. Ignatius. We had base camps. Base camps was something that is currently closing and transitioning out, but they were offering RVs, people who had RVs in good condition, to live on the fairgrounds. So I think that there are a lot of different resources. And then we also partner, like all of our organizations that we have through CDBG, Shelter Inc. and Winter Nights. And so that partnership, the housing division, housing and homelessness, is an extremely strong division where they do, again, we just in March, we were able to hire the other two people. Before that, it was done by one person who does tenant landlord, relations and fair housing, and then our consultant for CDBG. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you did. And then I will probably be following up with you at a later time, because there's a situation that I know that's going on right now, and it's been going on for 2 years now.
Okay.
And so, thank
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here tonight, and a shout out to your staff. I will say that for you all to be here says a lot. It says that you are committed to the work that you're doing, and it says that you're committed to your director, and good for you. And it speaks volumes about the work that you are doing and your commitment in general. So thank you all very much for that. Just a couple quick things. I know we talked a little bit about funding. Are you all seeing any impact to your CDBG funding levels?
Yes, we got a reduction. Everyone got a reduction. It was maybe 5-10% reduction.
Okay, and then when we looked at the numbers of the total residents served, we had, I think it was 5,092. Are those, when you look at all the different categories, is there any overlap, or are each?
It's unduplicated.
Sorry?
It's unduplicated.
It is unduplicated? Okay,
Yes.
great, thank you. And then, as far as the youth internships and programs, do we have a ballpark number of participants total to date?
I want to say 356.
That's great.
And that is also unduplicated. You know, I most of the time, and you may see them, right? Like Commissioner Benoni or Pamela Hernandez over at the city attorney's office, or the 3 to 4 interns we have in our offices. I think that what usually happens is that they get hired either by because, you know, for example, our Springboard internship is a public service internship, and they're placed at all city departments. SOAR, we place with our nonprofits and public agencies in town. So 2 of them have been hired at Tri-Delta. We also have the YAC is a different kind of internship for our 12 to 15-year-olds, and they love it. So sometimes they repeat the program. And then we have, I'm blanking, too many. Maybe that's it. Oh, the Build Architectural Internship. They usually are in college, and most of the time, the biggest goal there has been where they either go off to get their master's in design or they switch their major, which is huge, I think. And then we have the Youth in Government. Youth in Government is not an internship, but I have to absolutely mention that this has been, it's like a big dream. You know, when you see things in other places and like, oh, I want that. So you kind of work towards that goal. With Youth in Government, it was like that. The whole state of California has young people that go to Sacramento and Camp Roberts, where they get to learn about civic engagement, get to learn about assembly bills, and they get to learn about all the state stuff. And what does the Secretary of State do? What does the governor do? Antioch has been represented there. You know, you have one city right here in the Bay Area that brings 100 youth. That's 100 youth. And this year we were able to bring 9. And it's life-changing, you know? So the numbers are big, but I really do believe the impact is bigger.
Clearly, clearly. And then just real quickly, the AQRT call triages, and I know that we talked about their dispatching, and I know that we're looking at some funding challenges with the ending of the ARPA funds. In those situations when the AQR team is not available, what's the fallback?
The fallback usually is APD.
Okay. And then follow up later on?
Yes.
Okay. And then I think the other thing that you hit the nail on the head on very well was that perception of public safety, and public safety in most instances being tied to police, fire, EMS. And I think that being here tonight helps clarify that. I think it helps clarify it for us. I think it helps clarify that for the public. But I think you also made a good point that there is some overlap. There are places where you all do work together because you can't do it all alone. So I just think that this was very, very helpful. The CalVIP violence program with the 19 participants, is this ongoing, or will there be another group of 19, and when will they start?
Technically it's ongoing, but also because the goal is that we still continue to work with them, but for the most part, those folks have reached certain goals. We just want to continue to sustain where they're at. The goal is to continue to recruit and do outreach and get more fellows. The grant started April 1st, except as with anything, it's a 3-year grant that's requiring some build out. We have to get a little bit more staff. I have to do a budget modification, all the nuances that happen in order to make it really successful.
And then we've got the 16 fellows that successfully completed, 1 that located. Where are the other 2?
They exited it out voluntarily.
Got it. Okay. Okay, great. That's all. Thank you guys so much, though. Great presentation, and again, thanks to staff for being here. Thank you.
I'm still left, but I will clap.
I was waiting, Madam Chair. I was waiting.
I actually don't have questions. I just want to thank you both, not only for your team showing up, you all showing up, but also for meeting with us, myself and Vice Chair, last week, the week before. I will get you those nonprofits for Sycamore, and I want to ask all of you to join us in collaboration with our Public Safety Department for the Peace Walk. I know myself and Vice Chair Williams will be there, and we definitely will be going out ahead of time to just round up community to participate. It's important. And then I just wanted to tell you, Crystal, that I will work in the background with City to get flyers, and I will come out there and hang up flyers with you. You don't got to do that kind of stuff by yourself. We are community.
When is the Peace Walk?
It is
June
the
6th.
6th. Yeah, it's
10 to
in the
12.
list.
Oh, I'm just saying that for the public to hear.
Oh,
Oh, June 6th, Sycamore Plaza, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. It's going to be great.
thank you.
Because really the passion that they all do, this couldn't be done if it wasn't for all the mighty 8 of us, plus the few part-timers we have, which are amazing.
Shout out to the Mighty 8.
Thank you so
you.
much. Have a good night.
Oh, I actually have a few more
Oh, I'm
questions.
sorry, Mr. Bonum.
That's fine.
Never mind.
Sorry to keep you a little longer,
That's
but
fine.
can you speak to the relationship with APD from the public safety's point of view? Like,
I'm biased, completely biased. I absolutely love working with them. You know, I think it is a three-pronged approach, right? I think that you have the law enforcement, you have the community building and relationships, and then you have what happens internally. I think that the fact that Chief is so human-centered just says a lot. You know, I work closely with him. I work closely with Captain Cook and Captain Bittner, and it's amazing. I understand what's happened. Like, it's there. I see it. Sometimes it pops up, and I'm re-traumatized. And I also believe in hope and in change. And, you know, one of the biggest, most beautiful things about being in Antioch, that it's true. They couldn't have chosen a better slogan, opportunity lives here. Because out of despair and out of pain, we have found opportunities, you know, where you have the Angelo Quinto team, where you have Cal Vip, you know, a lot of the entire department. And that doesn't even capture like what Public Works is doing or Human Resources is doing. I'm just a small apple on this very big tree. So our relationship, it's a great relationship.
okay. So can you say some things that they're doing well, or some things that they can be doing a little better, and maybe something you would like to see?
Absolutely. I think that what's working well is the constant communication. I think what's working well is transparency. I think what's working well is our monthly non-fatal shooting reviews. I think what's working well is when I say, hey, I want to see more APD presence just at 18th Street or Executive Inn, they're there, and it makes the biggest difference. I cannot say what I think could be working better. And I don't see, I think that the hope is that continues. You know, I think that that's the biggest thing that I will continue to ask for.
Okay, last question. I know Sergeant Fashner shared recently with me the Antioch Police Youth Academy. Is there any partnership with youth services with that?
There currently isn't, but that's what we're working on for the, you know, we've wanted to, there's been a couple of programs that are being, I guess, what's the word, rejuvenated, you know, or resuscitated. So we're working on all of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just as a point of information, the Academy flyer was shared with Lene Jackson and Myelvi last week, and that was distributed, I believe, to the Council of Teen participants.
Correct. Thank you. Any other questions? Would love to stay.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item 5-1, the report out. I don't believe Chief Feehill is present. That's okay, we'll take it. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Commission, City staff, community members. I'm here to report on our staffing levels, and I can answer hopefully every question you have regarding that. As of today, we stand at 85 sworn officers. One of those is on long-term injury leave, and one is on modified duty, projected to come back to full duty at a later time. We have 2 additional officers, 1 is on modified duty, and 1 is on long-term injury leave. 2 additional officers, 1 is on modified duty, and 1 is on long-term injury leave. 2 additional officers, 1 is on modified duty, and 1 is on long-term injury leave. 2 additional officers, 1 is on modified duty, and 1 is on long-term injury leave. 2 additional officers, 1 is on modified duty, and 1 is on long-term injury leave. 2 additional officers, 1 is on modified duty, and 1 is on long-term injury leave. 2 additional officers, 1 is on modified duty, and 1 is on long-term injury leave. 2 additional officers, 1 is on modified duty, and 1 is on long-term injury leave. 2 additional officers, 1 is on modified duty, and 1 is on long-term injury leave. So that puts our total working officers at 83, and that includes from the chief all the way down to the newest officers that we have. We currently have 2 of those officers are in various stages of the field training program. That program, as you all know from prior presentations and conversations, can be anywhere from 3 months to 6 months, and really kind of, in this day and age, we cater it to the individual to get the most success out of them and give them the most opportunities that we can. And historically, that wasn't the case for most agencies. It was you either pass or you fail. We currently have 1 recruit in the Alameda County Academy. If all goes well, that recruit will graduate in August. We have 5 recruits who just started the Contra Costa Academy with a graduation date in October. Hopefully we can get all 5 of those through that academy. And we have 4 additional recruits that will be starting next week, and their academy starts at the end of this month. So we have some pre-academy training. We bring them on and get them through different parts of the department, get familiarized with the department, our daily operations, and policy review, whatever we can keep them busy with. And if that goes well, we will have all 4 of them graduating in December. We also have an open recruitment for a lieutenant position that closes in early June. So we are anticipating having some external applicants for that position as well. That's our current staffing update, and I can answer any. Oh, I do want to add one more thing: the Youth Academy, since you brought it up. So happy to report that as of today, we have 10 people that are now going to be attending that. Our goal was 12. We, I think, are going to have a few more applicants than that. So I'll talk to Sergeant Fashioners if we can maybe squeeze a few more kids into that program, because it's only going to be a beneficial program, and hopefully we can continue to do that every year, and that's our goal. So, any questions?
That filled up fast.
Well, I would like to say we had 105 officers, and I could talk more about that, but we're working on it.
Before questions, do we have any public comment?
No, we do not have any public comment. Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay, we do have one, Crystal Law.
We have a few.
We have 2,
3.
3.
This is just a question to the chief or lieutenant captain. Sorry, my bad. So my question is the reasoning why we are having trouble, like, okay, let me rephrase that. Okay, so is the 85 officers the reasoning why we're having like highway patrol and CHP and stuff coming in because we don't have enough officers, or is that just stuff that they're doing on their own because of the county?
So primarily that is them doing stuff on their own within our city limits, and they're well within their rights and authority to do that. We do welcome the help with certain situations where Highway Patrol and the Sheriff's Department can come in and help, and there are times where we actually request that help. So I hope that clarifies.
And then Leslie May, would you like to?
We got a microphone we could bring you.
It looks worse than what it is. Okay. I had, good evening, commissioners and staff and public. I do have a couple of questions and also some remarks to make. I wanted to ask, and this is kind of hard to ask that question, so let's go with this. There's a couple of questions. Is the budget issues that are being publicized interfering with affecting our recruitment of officers? Because at first we were recruiting pretty quickly. It was like back to back to back. That's another thing. And then another thing I wanted to find out about is how close is the police department meeting the standards of the grand jury report of 2024 and the federal DOJ requirements? And do you think that these will be able to meet everything or exceed? I want to see us exceed, because I've been backing the police, and even though so a lot of people were like mad, which I don't care, because I don't care what people think about me. But anyway, I'm backing you guys. I was rallying for you to get all the money you needed to do things that I know at one point you were offering stipends for officers who came on, nice stipends to help buy them homes and everything so they could relocate and live actually here in Antioch. So I guess it's a bunch of questions that I'm trying to ask you. Hopefully you'll remember them all. And then also, do you feel that CORE, thanks to Bessie Scott, is really aiding and helping you guys as well as the ACQRT? So it's a bunch of questions that you might have to ask.
I may have to ask either.
Okay. All right, thank you.
And when it comes to any of the Department of Justice compliance, I just want to let the commission know that I believe that there will be a presentation given to council at the June 9th meeting. And then at the next commission meeting after that, the commission will be receiving a report from Mr. Sapal as well.
Okay, let me see if I can remember all these. So as far as,
Budget, is the budget affecting recruitment?
well, as somebody that's been in this line of work for nearly 30 years and having moved from one department to another a couple of times, for lateral candidates, yes, budget and the state of affairs and finances of a city do and can affect recruitment for that. What we're finding is it's not really affecting the recruitment of recruits, so pre-academy employees. Most of them are looking for a job in law enforcement. I can tell you, having been on a number of those pre-hire, the final interview that we give before offering a job, or at that time we offer a job, almost all of those that I have interviewed have expressed an explicit desire to work for the city of Antioch. They come in very well versed in the state of affairs here, and at no point in time in those interviews has budgeting or pay or benefits have come up. But for recruitment of laterals, yes, that certainly is an issue. Partnerships. Absolutely. So having worked, as I stated, for prior agencies and now here, it's imperative that we have these relationships with non-police entities in the community. We can't arrest our way out of all the problems that this city has, or any other city for that matter. And that being said, the majority of the contacts we have with the public, we're not arresting people. But those partnerships are valuable beyond words, because we can send people out there, even though, and one of the things I think the question was posed earlier, is if they're not available, who would handle that? And that would be APD. Our officers are trained in crisis intervention, and we're trained in a lot of things to deal with a community that doesn't involve use of force or just enforcing the laws. The problem is some people just see us in uniform and they assume that that's what we're going to do. So that's another area where the non-sworn component is valuable in that, because people see somebody that's not in uniform, and the perception that force is going to be used is essentially taken away from that. So it's almost a diffusing agent. I think there's two more things.
So look, hopefully you heard me say that I had contacted, so I'm concerned about the community, CBOs, community-based organizations, and nonprofits that want to appear, especially at Sycamore. And
I apologize. I think we're getting kind of far afield here, so we're going to have to, the purpose of the public comment isn't to have a back and forth discussion with a member of the staff. I'm sure Captain Bauer can come and talk to you about it afterwards, but not during the meeting. I apologize.
oh, okay.
Absolutely.
Well, I apologize that for asking about meeting the standards of the grand jury report and the federal DOJ.
That was one of the questions. So we are moving in the right direction, and once again, our monitor, Manjeet Sapal, Mr. Sapal, is here tonight and will be giving a presentation in June. However, that is the area that I primarily work in as a reform, and working with Mr. Sapal on that. We are on track, and I think one of the questions was, or one of the statements you made was that we want to exceed those standards. So I would say that the vision and the track that we're on now is we will exceed those standards. In fact, not only with the DOJ agreement, with the settlement agreement, but we just entered into an accreditation process here for the state of California. It's the first of its kind for the state of California. I'm going to be the accreditation manager. It's going to be a lot of work. What we're hoping is there's no confliction with our agreements and the accreditation process. I don't think there will be, because I believe a lot of that accreditation process is just going to bring other agencies in line with what we're already doing. It's just a matter of having the resources and time and the personnel available to meet the deadlines. That accreditation process is a 2-year process. Started in April. The initial training was last week, and we had to do onboarding with some software programs that they're requiring us to use as well, so that was also done last week. And then it's about 1.5 years of it's just an assessment process going into the final stretch. That may have been all the questions.
And then we have one more public comment from.
If you'll please come to the podium, Ms. Sendejas. Thank you. Thank you, Captain Bauer.
Hello to everyone. As one of the ladies on that side said that she's a small and mighty, I am also small and mighty, but also I am a mother who has loved both my sons in a way that only God Almighty knows. My name is Rosalba Sendejas, a mother of 2 young kids, one 18-year-old and other 15-year-old, who were profiled and assaulted in ways I cannot describe because it hurts extremely profoundly, which has affected my health physically and mentally, along with my family and my boys. These cops that committed cover-up frauds and much more that I'd rather not say at this moment. Both my sons were left to believe that their injury on May 5th of 2007 never happened. The reality did not exist. Both my boys were given a combined police report. My boys were innocent and respectful the day that they were injured. My boys never made it to a court hearing because according to APD, May 5th, 2007 never happened. Was it not important, since they were given a combined report, to send them to court? Where is the district attorney? Where was Mayor Freitas? Where was all the sergeants from APD? Did this place here not see all the lawsuits that were coming in from the same cops? Did you guys not get any red flags? Police reports were granted after the fact of the text scandal in April 2023. This is when I found out. So I'm shattered for a couple of years already. Antioch PD not only destroyed my sons, but they destroyed their parents, their granddaughter, my granddaughter, friends, relationships. You sit here, all of you. I can see you. So I know you can hear me and you can see me. I'm tired of waiting. I've been trying to advocate for my sons for quite a while already, and it's not easy, more at my age. I'm really hurting. Sometimes I feel that I'm going to be murdered because of what I'm speaking. So I'm asking the sergeants in the back if they can please relate a message to all their people that did this to my sons. Please tell your employee officers who assaulted my boys to back off. Back off, because the day I die, I will tell God everything you guys did. Thank you.
Is there any other public comment? Public comment regarding the
Public
police
comment
report
related
out.
to this item. There,
Yeah, the report out.
What is the report?
It's just general staffing for the police department.
Are they still getting a big portion of the pie?
So, if you have a public comment when it comes to this particular item, please, we would like to hear it. Otherwise, if it's just a general public comment for something that's not already
it's
on the
general
agenda.
it's a comment for this item too, and public comment, but this for this item.
For this item, okay.
Okay, yeah. I don't understand why this city is still paying for these officers who committed crimes. Some of them didn't come out in the text thread, but they know the crimes that were committed here in this community while they were police officers and are still police officers. I don't understand, why are we still allowing these polices to be leaders in this community. Because when you think about police, that's a leader, a public figure in your community. And just because we have a Sycamore corridor police department up don't mean nothing to me. Because I do know Sergeant Castillo was telling the boys over there when they boys was coming. You see what I'm saying? So I still believe it's some of those still left in here. I don't like the way the supposedly DOJ recommendations are going, because they're not following the directions. I went to that police department. I went to City Hall first to request some stuff, and the lady called me Friday and told me it was ready. And I said, well, can I get hard copy? She said, I'm going to call you back. She never called me back. I called her back. She said, and APD's not finished with it yet. So APD called me today to pick it up, and it wasn't everything I asked for. So I asked her, how long does it take if you put in a complaint? Oh, it could take up to a year. I said, no, ma'am. I said, they supposed to be following the procedures, 30 to 60. It was different with different chiefs, because I have the different complaint forms. So she said, no, it takes up to a year. Amanda can call you tomorrow, give me your number. I've been doing this since 2014. Y'all still playing around here. Y'all still withholding things from victim survivors, so they don't have the ability to process and do the things that they need to do to still out this department. Yeah, we have new officers. We need new officers, but we wouldn't need them if the ones that committed the corruption wouldn't have did what they did. And like I say, it's still some of them here. How do you feel if somebody take your legs open and hold you while another officer beating you? How would you feel if that was your loved one that happened to you? You couldn't do nothing, because it's the police doing it. They're still corrupt, because you still have these corrupt officers in these positions. You paying them taxpayers' money, where you should be taking that money, taking care of the survivors and the victims. And it's a shame that all of this was outed in a text message, where you had citizens and victims running up here for years saying it was happening, and you didn't believe it until it came out in a text message. And yet and still, you still paying these corrupt officers tax dollars from this city that you could take care of the homeless population. You could get a shelter out here. Ron Burnell went and closed stuff down that Lamar did so he could get the credibility, acting like Donald Trump. Because I took a letter to his office, and he didn't do nothing about it when he was a city manager.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment?
No further public comments. Thank you.
Discussion?
Well, I would like to say thank you for your report, and now I remember your name, because that was going to be my question. But I do have another question. Is there a target date to have a total of, 100+ officers on board? Is it by the end of this year? Will it go into 2027? Because there's 105 that should be on board, right?
Correct.
Is there a hard deadline date for that, for that 105 to be target to be met, if I'm making myself clear?
Well, the goal was the end of this year, this calendar
Okay.
year. If all the numbers work out the way they are, we'll be at 95, but that's absent having any laterals come aboard. So realistically, by the end of the year, 105 probably not going to happen, but we could be at 95, and 10 makes a big difference from where we're at now.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I may have missed your response earlier, but I think the idea of hiring incentives for officers to, put it towards purchasing a home for relocation, I think that was brought up. If you could speak to that a little bit in terms of recruitment.
And I can answer that. Actually, that was not approved. So what we did have a signing bonus. It was $30,000 signing bonus, but we did not have anything related for relocation or anything to purchase homes. We did not have that as part of the signing bonus.
And I believe the signing bonus was something that was authorized by council, and that authorization ran up in June of last year, if I remember correctly. So the signing, it's my understanding the signing bonus may not have really been a huge incentive, and thus it was not renewed.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kennedy, do you have? All right, I am good as well. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
And Attorney Condinger, you need to learn people's skills because you're arrogant as hell. You are
Moving
arrogant
on
as
to item 5-2, discussion around the APOC ordinance. I believe this came up at the last meeting and there was some confusion as to exactly what we were discussing. As you guys see, hopefully you were able to review your agenda packets. It's kind of hefty in regards to the historical information of when our ordinance was created back in 2022, the meeting minutes for when the ordinance was discussed on the dais, and then it also highlights the presentation that was gifted to us by our city attorney and also by consultant Addington. The real bulk of this conversation is for us to make suggestions and for us to come together in a unified way to create a draft. So when we have our joint session with council in our second meeting in June, that we are presenting something that we all have agreed upon and that highlights how we choose to strengthen what the ordinance currently looks like. Anybody have questions?
So at the last meeting, I think the item you might be referring to was the suggestion, not knowing how long it would take to actually update the entire ordinance. The discussion and the motion was to just specifically address the movement of meeting at least, changing it, meeting at least twice a month to meeting at least once a month, and trying to get that implemented ahead of or even without going through the entire process because of the length that's involved in that. But
Yes.
I am extremely happy that we're having the discussion so that we can kind of pull together all of the different items.
That particular topic has come up several times. I actually think at one point, and I'm not sure if you guys motioned on that last week to move forward. Okay, so yeah, that particular topic has come up once. I think everyone cohesively agreed that we are okay with going down to one meeting.
Yes, and I believe the assistant city attorney was going to be exploring options that could perhaps even be, would expedited be the right word?
Yeah, there was the
Streamlined, how about streamlined?
There was the possibility of streamlining that process. We just have not been able to get that in front of council at this time. 'Cause,
Okay.
just with normal council business that's been going on.
Okay, so I can follow up with you in the background.
Yes.
Mhm. Okay, so before we go ahead and enter our general discussion, is there public comment?
Yes, we do have one public speaker, Leslie May.
I want to wait till after I hear her do the presentation.
There's not going to be a heavy presentation. That was pretty much just the gist of what we are discussing. And so essentially, again, we are just discussing how we want to potentially recommend amendments to our current ordinance.
Good evening once again. I would like to get a copy of the ordinances. I had the old one, it's been revised several times, so I'd like to know where I can get a copy of the current ordinances that are in place.
It's in your agenda packet, or if you have an
Oh,
agenda.
I have agenda,
Yes,
well,
it's
I can pull it up, so that has the current.
Yes,
All right, thank you.
you're welcome. Is there any other public comment?
No further public comment on this discussion item. Thank you.
Commissioner Hall?
Yes. If we can discuss 4-3104D, that's very vague, and it really needs to be, we really need to give a clearer understanding of what an unexcused absence is. So if we can be more, how do I want to put it? It's too vague, and I think we need to give a clear explanation of what that is, because I know that was something that I had previously brought up, but I did not really address it at the time. But now that we are talking about the ordinance, and now it's time, I believe we should address it.
Yeah, I do recall, and I agree with you. I do recall at the council meeting when they went over absences, they were kind of giving pushback on dissecting what excused look like versus unexcused. However, what I will say is, for myself, some of you all know I've had several health issues over the last year or so, and I think when people have health issues and can provide doctor's notices, things like that, that should serve as excuse versus other reasons.
Madam Chair, as far as the attendance item, I think one of the things that would really make a difference and make life easier for everybody is that if you look up Article 2 it's not in your packet, but if you go to the city's municipal code and you look up Article 2, it addresses appointments and terms for all the boards and commissions. And item 2-5.206.
Can you say that one more time?
Yes. 2-5.206 addresses attendance. Regular meeting attendance is critically important. No member of a board or commission may have more than 3 consecutive absences, nor miss 20% or more of regularly scheduled meetings during any rolling 12-month period, except the Administrative Appeals Board. A person in violation of these standards may apply to the mayor for relief from these requirements based on unusual or extenuating circumstances, which, as you point out, health issues would be a part of that, obviously. And then item B, which is the clerk or secretary of each board or commission shall monthly prepare and deliver to the city clerk an attendance report of members. And I think one of the things, aside from the attendance piece, I think that one of the things that has come up both in some of our discussions and in the discussion of the council is to make sure that the administrative portions of our ordinance are consistent with all of the other boards and commissions. Because from an administrative standpoint, and I think for consistency, it's what makes sense. So I just
Pointing that out, that is currently the way that our attendance reads. It does read that 3 or more absences in a 12-month period, right?
Well, but we get into the whole excused or unexcused, and it is also, so ours talks about unexcused absences from at least 3 meetings in a 1-year span of time. So ours is different.
By the word excused or unexcused.
No, it simply says unexcused absences from at least 3 meetings in a 1-year span of time. That's what our ordinance says.
Which means the same thing as 3 absences in a 12-month rolling period.
Or 20%. So it's 3, the overriding ordinance for boards and commissions says
so your
3 consecutive absences. Ours says 3 unexcused absences,
I see.
nor miss 20% or more of regularly scheduled meetings during a rolling 12-month period. So if you were to adopt that language that's consistent, you're not trying to decide if something's excused, unexcused. You're not. It becomes, I think, much clearer. And again, it's a consistency piece.
It does. So the suggestion would be to fully adopt the language from the overall article. Is that agreed?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's not vague.
It's not vague at all.
Yes.
And I would also just point out that, just the fact that a commissioner were to miss 3 meetings does not mean they're automatically ejected from the commission. They would still take an act of the council to remove a commissioner, and that could just be one of the grounds that they use. But just want to make sure that part is clear, so it's not like just because somebody misses 3, that it just automatically happens like that.
I think we are aware of that, but my point is that what we have now is too vague, and I agree with Commissioner Kennedy that we should include what's in, Article 2-5, and, I believe we should adopt that verbiage and include it in our ordinance.
Recommended for inclusion.
Yes.
Okay. Recommendations?
That's why I wanted to speak after.
We already
you
did
guys
public
discussed
comment.
this.
Oh, we're out of public comment.
We already did it.
The other thing that I went back and reviewed the minutes from July and from October, and I think that we also are missing the part in our ordinance, but I think this is something that has also been discussed for all boards and commissions, which is rules of decorum and conduct. But the other part of that is looking at the comparison of any kind of rules of decorum and conduct in comparison with the NACOL. Sorry, I'm flipping pages here. But we have something in ours related to NACOL. And I can't, sorry, I got too many pages here. Okay, yeah, the violation of the, thank you, the violation of the code of ethics of NACOL, basically. So I just, there are some things from a standpoint of what has been discussed and what is in the ordinance, and in our ordinance, the part about NACOL would be reasons for terms of removal from office. And I think that, again, if we start to look at some consistencies, obviously this commission has certain things that they deal with that are vastly different than others. But I do think that we've got to come up with a little more definition. As Commissioner Lacey-Oha has already stated, we have some things that I think are somewhat vague. It's like, what
The ordinance is very gray.
what do we mean by this?
And in regards to that, you're speaking specifically of our decorum and conduct and what they adopted from the NACOL?
Well,
Code of conduct?
So the ordinance reads that a reason to remove a commissioner would be violation of the NACOL Code of Conduct. But we've never adopted the NACOL Code of Conduct, right? And then the council has also talked about creating rules of decorum for boards and commissions, for the council, for the public, et cetera. So I just think that that's something that we need to be cognizant of. We at one point had also suggested that we have a requirement that each commissioner complete a ride-along within the first 90 days of appointment, and that they also complete use of force simulator training. And I think from a reality standpoint, there has to be some grace there. I know that I have not done use of force simulator training. I've done ride-alongs, I've done sit-alongs. I have not done the use of force simulator training. So I think part of that is probably something that commission readiness needs to, pull together this list and work closely with.
Is the simulator working again?
I don't know. I'm just reading what's in the minutes.
It's working again, but it wasn't working, so that wasn't, something that we can control, even though I did it at NACOL, or one of them, but yeah. So you would like to switch the timeframes, is what you're saying?
I'm just giving you items that we suggested back in July.
Okay. Also, as we discuss the sections, can you please reference the section that you're discussing so everyone can follow along? So right now, you're discussing section 4-3.104.
4-3.109.
109, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was also discussion about all training requests requiring city funding must be pre-authorized by the city manager. And I think that
Section, please.
that I guess was something in the budget. There was not a specific section for that. But I think that from the standpoint of our budget and our funding, I know that like right now, if I go to the staff report for the last council meeting where they were breaking down all the different budgets, and you look at the city manager's budget, you can't look at that budget and say, oh, look, there's APOC. There's no carve out for the dollar amount, and then within that dollar amount, what is it to be used for? How much of it's allocated for training? How much of it's allocated for community engagement? And I think that's just something that we have no control over that specifically.
We do.
Well, what I mean is we don't necessarily have control over how they list it, but the fact that it's currently not there, obviously for people to see, is problematic, in my opinion.
So that's something we lean into our acting city manager for. I do know that Chief will be presenting an overview of the budget, but again, we can't control how it's shown in the city's overall budget.
Yes, right now it is showing in the city manager's budget. It is, but 75,000 is budgeted right now.
I'm aware. Mm-hmm.
But yes, we can see how we can try to separate that to identify it.
Thank you.
That's all I've got for right now. The only other thing, I'm sorry, I went through, I did a little homework here.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go into section 4-3.110, and you go to G, which is receive reports on publicly disclosable information concerning the status of civilian complaints. Develop a program for the mediation of those complaints in coordination with the chief, the city manager, and the city attorney. I'm not sure where that sits, but I know that it's not something that I'm 100% clear on. Same thing with H and I and J.
So for G, I would believe that will fall under IA, which will be policing practices, because we embody the IA part within our ad hoc. We have not developed a program as of yet, but that's something that we could work on within that ad hoc. For item H, I did present within our budget a program. That program, I believe you had questions with the chief regarding overtime. They are still meeting and discussing in the background how that fits with them. So that was my goal, was to be fulfilling item H. And I don't think at this point that there is, like a general ad hoc that embodies determining a program that would assist with what item H is discussing. But that was my goal overall with recommending that program, the SOS program.
Well, and I think that I think that a particular program is a good kind of jumping off point. But as I see, we look at the fact that it's policies and strategies, you know, I think that at least for me, there's something a little deeper than that is, again, ongoing, permanent types of policies. And then also,
I just want to make sure we're clear. You're mentioning that you are thinking policy scope and how we can add policies, or I want to be clear on what
I
you're
just
saying.
think that if I am a member of the public and I'm reading this ordinance,
Mhm.
and I'm reading G, H, I, and J,
Mhm.
my question to the city of Antioch would be, show me. Can you show me in writing where this exists? And I think that right now our answer would be no.
And that would be our fault for not producing it.
And I'm fine with
Just
acknowledging
saying.
that.
Look, just saying.
But I think that what the point is that we are sitting here on the 18th of May in 2026, and we can't say that we have these 4 items. So I think
we
there's.
do have G. We have an ad hoc that we receive quarterly reports from the police department disclosing the stats on civilian complaints. No, we have not developed a program for mediation for those complaints, but that's also because we have not been privy to access the complaints due to the law.
Right.
So that's something that, you know, state compliance, right?
So
For H, we did propose a program, which again, you stated that you had questions, so that paused that being implemented into our budget. And so if community was to ask, all of those things were on record.
Okay.
May I jump in and ask a question? In the context of, you said that there was a state law concerning G. So is there anything that we can change in this ordinance that would make it easier for us to follow the state law and get the access to those documents more easily?
I think great time to bring up AB 847. We are, come on, right? We are currently working through the process of implementing AB 847, which is the law that Assemblywoman Sharp Collins authored and became law January of this year. Unfortunately, we have not been able to get their office. Well, we've tried. We've had some technical difficulties. However, we are planning on moving forward with just having the city attorney present on how it can be implemented and how it will assist us in working with APD on complaints and other items that we can.
And I did want to let the commission know that when the amendment is finally brought back to council for adoption, there may be a slight delay with things because at the time that the original discussion was had, AB 847 was not law. Now that it is, that will have to be further direction by the council. So they'll be briefed on the law. They'll be given the city attorney's opinion on the law, and they'll determine how they want to, how it should be implemented into any updated ordinance.
Okay.
I guess the question I'm asking for the folks who don't know about AB 847 is what does the law do that is going to change this ordinance?
The law essentially gives an investigatory branch to commissions across the state of California. So prior to, like for instance, civilian complaints, we did not have general access to them. We could get general stats, but not details. This allows us, IA, our certain ad hocs, the ability to go through the investigative portion, of course, with parameters around not sharing items with the public, right?
Does it essentially remove, does it remove what I would call sort of the line of demarcation for what somebody can do, what a commission can do in a charter city versus a general law city?
No.
Well,
Because I do know that there are some distinctions because we're a general law city.
Correct.
There are certain things that we cannot do.
That is
Well,
correct.
well, let me say that it doesn't matter whether we are a charter city or a general city, and I know this because I learned that when we went to NACO. Also, what I wanted to add is, if we're gonna be going through the investigative process, it has to be in closed session. I discovered that. The governor signed this into law because there was a complaint by individuals who had lost family members in the LA County. And this is why we are where we are right now. And I believe we should find a way to include it in our ordinance.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't, it's not really about finding a way. It is
Yes.
state law.
Yes.
So it will be included. We just need to see legally how it will be included. But yeah. So we
Also, I'm sorry, I didn't want to come off this topic really quick. I'm just curious about all of the parts of 4.3.110. I notice in a lot of this, it seems like a lot of our job is to recommend or recommend changes to the city council. And I'm curious if we even have access to department policy. Because how are we going to change anything if we don't know what the department's policies are?
You mean APD's policies?
Yeah, APD.
Yes, so before you became a commissioner, myself and Vice Chair Williams participated in the policing practices ad hoc. We participated in the full rewrite of the policy handbook. I'm not sure if it is published now. It is? No. So the current book is on the website. And then once the new one is published, not only us, but community has access to it. So it is on the website.
Okay.
You have any other questions in regards to?
No, that's it
110?
for now.
Okay. Kennedy, Commissioner Kennedy, you were still speaking in regards to item H.
I just think, all I was saying was that G, H, I, and J as policies are fine. But I
Okay.
just think we need to make sure that we are fulfilling all of the pieces of those so that if anybody ever has questions, we can answer those.
Okay. So leaving them as they are is fine with you as long as we are highlighting how we have achieved them, is what you're saying?
Well, I think that some of this comes down to, so study, develop, and recommend community policing and alternate crime prevention policies and strategies to the chief of police, the city manager, the city council, and the city attorney. So we, as a body, I know we're doing work in our ad hocs to do work as commissioners, but I think that looking for ways that we may be able to share ideas with the police department comes back to what I would call sort of a collaborative effort, making those suggestions and so on. And I think that we could be more proactive in some of those arenas
Okay,
as a group.
okay. And there were no other suggested changes for this area?
And I really like section 4 about CEQA. That's my favorite part of the entire ordinance.
Favorite is part, huh?
So to be clear, one of the suggested recommendations is to include AB,
Absolutely.
yes, I don't want to say the language of ABA 47, but there will be some type of verbiage included in the ordinance, correct?
Whatever the city attorney's legal interpretation as
Okay.
he passes it on to city council, whatever they
It,
decide.
I can't say what is going to be in the final ordinance. That's up to city council.
Okay, thank you.
Can we, I think in fairness to the commission, and I think in fairness to the council, there should be some sort of discussion about, or presentation about AB 847, so that everybody's on the same page, as opposed to some of us knowing, some of us not knowing, and making sure that there's an absolute clear understanding of what exactly it is and what it does.
I agree.
If that is on the agenda for the joint meeting, I'm happy to present that.
Can we agendize it, and this is jumping a little bit ahead, I know, but for June 1st, so that we're prepared for June 18th?
I just want to make sure I understand. So you would like to me to give a presentation to you on June 1st, so then you can be prepared for whatever discussion is going to be presented on June 8th.
Correct.
I think that should be possible. I just want to clear a few things with the city attorney before that would be finalized.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna start from the beginning, and then just kind of run down the list. So for the purpose of the commission is to advise city council, city manager, chief of police, and administration. The police commission shall facilitate community participation, oversight by reviewing and recommending policies, procedures, practices, and programs designed to result in community policing that is effective, responsive, and sensitive to the diverse needs of the residents here. The police commission shall promote and encourage open communication, cooperation between the Antioch Police Department and the residents, recognizing that policing the city of Antioch is a shared responsibility. We're good with the purpose?
I'm good with the purpose.
4-
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I don't want to be rude.
You're all good.
But in paragraph number 2, this is, well, I believe we have completed this. I believe we have. But it doesn't, well, maybe I'm jumping the gun. The recommended policies and procedures and practices.
What are you reading?
Oh, the second paragraph.
Second paragraph of
page
purpose?
2. Yes, under purpose, because that's where you are
Yes,
now.
yes.
Now, the recommendations are being forwarded to the chief of police of APD, correctly, not the city council, correct?
Recommendations for what?
For policies, procedures, practices, and programs.
Yeah, so any policies in the past, as mentioned, we worked as a unit to develop the new handbook, but prior to that, when we, or if any of us, for that matter, developed or had questions, amendments to a policy, we would forward it to the chief. The chief had a time frame that they can respond to us. I believe it was like 30 days. And then if they agreed, they could implement. If not, then, we can discuss, and then it would go to council for review.
Okay, so maybe I am jumping the gun. I thought there was somewhere in this ordinance where we would make recommendations to the city council. Did anybody else see that? Maybe I'm the only one?
It's later.
It's
It
later.
is
Okay.
here,
Yes.
though.
Okay.
Yeah, it's later, so some of them specify city council, others
Uh-huh.
chief. It just depends on the
On what the
specific-
recommendation is.
Yeah.
Right, because my question is, maybe I'm jumping the gun, I'm gonna say that again, have we done that? Have we
Yes.
made certain recommendations to city council?
Yes.
Okay,
So our annual report every
Annual
year
report,
is to the council.
right.
Right now, our annual report is pending the budget review.
Okay, so those are the two things. So I guess those are the only two things we can recommend to city council, is that correct?
That is correct. We
Okay.
are a recommendation scoped commission.
Okay, thank you.
Do we want to include anything in the purpose, and maybe paragraph 1 or 2, we talk about national standards of constitutional policing and, community policing that's effective, responsive, et cetera. But isn't our ultimate goal, and I'm kind of looking at Mr. Sapal here, but if we contemplate the DOJ agreement, that the ultimate goal here is to make sure that we achieve non-biased, community-based policing for all residents.
I like that.
Isn't there something in the something about non-biased, community-based policing?
Yeah, I'm okay to add that in there.
That's good. Okay, do we want to go over membership and appointment? I know it was discussed at council already. They were solid on 7. Shall to appoint at least. We know the goals, faith-based business owners, school district, et cetera. And then the lack of eligibility for officers.
Okay, well, here I go again. Have we met these criterias?
But I do want to say that
those aren't requirements, those are factors.
Right.
So it says the council shall strive to
Yeah,
do those,
exactly.
but there's no requirement that it be done. And I believe it was
Okay.
crafted that way to make sure that you could get as broad of an applicant pool as possible, to make sure there would be an accurate representation without having to basically, cabin things in artificially.
Right.
Okay, shall strive, all right.
Any other questions regarding that section? Nope. All right, 4-3.104, terms of office and removal from office. So the terms of office for all members of the commission shall be 3 years, but the terms of not more than 3 years. But the term of not more than 3 members shall expire in any 1 year. Therefore, when the initial 7 members are selected, we've already been through that. We were staggered in, right? That's essentially what it's saying, right? So after the stagger, then we all shall receive our full 3 terms. For this purpose, the initial 1 year and 2 year terms in this paragraph shall be considered full terms. Again, we've been through that. Everyone's okay with that? We've been through it. We're past that anyway, right?
And unfortunately with that part, because that was required for the change of it, there's not a whole lot that can be changed because the legislative history of how the commission was made should still be preserved somewhere. And with all of our other ordinances that have that, I haven't gone through the legislative history of all of them to see if they went through the same staggering process. But a lot of them are much older commissions than this one. And this one, the staggering was basically there to make sure that, you would always be able to have a quorum no matter what stage in the process you were in. So then, it wouldn't be as if, say in 3 years, everybody's no longer commissioner at the same time, then there's no commission.
Right. So B, a member may resign before the expiration date. We're good. C, members of the police commission to serve at the pleasure of the city and council and be removed from office by a majority vote of council. The police commission may recommend to the city council that a member be removed for reasons but not limited to misuse of position, misuse of police-issued documents, misconduct that impedes the member's ability to serve as an effective and impartial police commissioner, unexcused absences from release, we discussed that. Did I write that down under the right section? 104.
Can we suggest, aside from removing D, can we simply request that there simply be an item related to attendance, which makes it consistent with all of the other boards and commissions?
So you're saying create like a section specific to attendance?
That's what Article 2 of the municipal code has for appointments and terms, is that there's a removal section, and then there's a separate attendance section.
Maybe I can help with, Commissioner Kennedy, would you like to recommend to council that they change D to basically say something can be removed for attendance violations pursuant to, and then reference back to that Antioch city, the other city code?
I think that makes sense, and obviously, we do have some things that are different because of the sensitivity of information
Yeah.
that we may have access to. But I think that there's a section in 2-5.205 is removal absences and FPPC compliance. We don't even address FPPC compliance in our ordinance, I
At
don't
all.
believe, at
No.
all. And then there is a separate attendance in 2-5.206 that I think both of those belong in our ordinance for consistency's sake.
I think that there's no problem with recommending it be in there. I just want to let the commission know
Yeah.
that those rules still apply to the commission regardless of whether or not they're in this section or in another section. It's not that there are some exclusive rules, but it doesn't mean you're accepted from the other rules that are
Right.
there. And when it comes to the FPPC compliance, I know it's not referenced there directly, but there is a conflict of interest section, which is, it's invoking the same type of purpose there.
I do like, because we've mentioned several times for ease of use, like if community members were to look at our ordinance, should they have to go look up Article 2 as well to understand, like, this is, the guise of what we are following. And so for ease of use, I do agree with what you're saying, that it should be included here as well. And I noted the NACOL. So what would y'all suggest in regards to our code of ethics? Is that something that you would like me to follow up in the background? Because it was discussed in the past that council would create something that is specific to us. I don't know if that falls in your hands.
There has been some discussions about creating a code of ethics when it comes to council comments and other commissions. It's now just kind of figuring out what exactly
that looks like.
Because we want to make sure that the rules are equal, but they still address the concerns that exist because if you looking at council and commissions, those are two very, very different bodies with two very, very different purposes. So one rule may work. There's certain rules of decorum that would work for everyone, but there may be certain other rules that may not, so that's one of the things that we are kind of working on. And just with the direction that we've received, we would do the ordinance amendment first, and then because the rules of conduct would be broader, that would come afterwards.
Okay, so for us, we would be agreeing, because we have not adopted the National Association for Civilian Oversight of Law Enforcement, we would agree to be removing that language, instead replacing it with the city's code of ethics. Okay. I'm asking.
I mean, that's of course a recommendation that can be made. Just because right now there is not an overarching city rule of ethics, and the NACOL, I was not I was not with the city when this ordinance was made. Without going back, and I did not review the meeting from 2022 before this meeting, but I would assume there was a reason why these particular rules were chosen. And that might be something that would have to be considered by council before making any changes there. Not to say the commission can't make that recommendation, but I would think that there was some legislative reason why that decision was made in the first place.
Yeah, they're not horrific. We just never adopted.
I think that it's perfectly acceptable to keep the NACOL Code of Ethics in there, because I do think that there's going to be some separate pieces to that would be worthwhile for the commission and the work that we do. The rules of decorum and general behavior based on being an appointee of the city of Antioch or somebody who is representing the city of Antioch is going to have separate components. I see no problem with having both.
Okay, so when it says or, you want to add the city's code of ethics, and everyone's okay with?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I would just echo Commissioner Kennedy's comments. I think as a police oversight commission, it's very unique compared to the other boards and commissions, and because there is a national association that we participate in specifically for police oversight commissions. I do think it would be not only just reasonable, but it would be a good idea that we follow the National Code of Ethics as it applies specifically to this body.
Okay. And then E, upon receipt of notification of resignation or a council vote of removal, the position shall be considered vacant and eligible for the mayor to nominate a replacement commissioner for appointment. Everyone's good with section E?
Well,
I will just say this is consistent with the removal rules for any commissioner.
okay, all right, so let me not say anything.
Okay, so moving on to 4-3.105, officers. During January of each year, the police commission shall elect one of its members as chairperson and or vice chairperson, who shall each hold office for 1 year until their respective successors are elected. After all police commission members have been appointed and confirmed, officers shall be elected no later than the second meeting of the commission. No officer shall be eligible to serve more than 2 consecutive terms. Is this also standard?
So I don't know when it comes to having the month in there. I don't know if that complies with everything. I do know with this commission in particular, it was a little bit different because of the time it took to get the commission off the ground, and the vote was actually made in March. So this could be a time to suggest changing it from January to March.
Okay.
I don't know if the council's gonna, I don't know how the council would want to do that. I said, and I haven't looked at, I don't know when the planning commission selects their board off the top of my head.
Okay.
I'm sorry, selects their chair positions off the top of my head. So it could be that this is just consistent with everything else. Maybe it's just all over the place, I don't know.
Okay.
I think it might be consistent. I didn't print that part of it out. But I think that the January is, because the terms, commissioners' terms expire in November. On the 30th. So it would seem to make sense that you would start out, most bodies that I've observed over the years, you'll have councils that do a reorg in December, and boards and commissions, if they don't do it in December, typically they do it in January.
Okay. So everyone's okay with keeping the language as is?
I'm okay with that.
I do have a question. So for the officer positions of chair and vice chair, you're allowed to do a 1 partial term and then 2 consecutive terms. But then for E, going back to the last paragraph, if a commissioner is removed from office or resigns, the person who's appointed by the mayor or the city council recommended by the mayor, they serve the remainder of that term and they're only eligible for 1 additional term?
I'm kind of confused by your question.
Well, if you look at
I
that.
know exactly what you're talking about, because I think what this is saying in E is saying that, like, say for instance, one of us resigns, right? And it's August. And then council appoints someone else in July. That person joins whatever their term is what their term is. now the confusion is how you're relating that to the chair versus vice chair terms.
Well, I guess I'm just looking at it as the partial term and then the 2 additional terms on top of that.
So for instance, if that person comes in and becomes chair, is that what you're saying?
Well, that's another, I guess, question. But no, I was thinking outside of that, just as you know, how we function, I guess.
Well, I think they're 2 different things. So when you have, so the chair position is just a position for 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think it's why they have the different type of rules there, as opposed to when you are appointed to be a commissioner, that's a 3-year term, right there. And you know, I can't speak as to why this is the way it is, but if it was decided by council that if you are replacing somebody, you are eligible for 1 more term. It doesn't mean you can ever be a commissioner again. That would just be your 2 consecutive terms right there. And then you would have to skip a cycle, and then you could reapply again. If that is something that the commission would like change, that's a recommendation that they can make. As I said, I like to think that there was a reasoning behind it, but without going back and reviewing to see if that was even something that was really discussed, I can't tell you why that isn't.
Okay, thank you. That clarified it for me.
Lord knows I was confused. I'm sorry. Okay. So there was nothing on officers outside of your question, Commissioner? Okay. So we know that there's going to be discussion on 4-3.106, which essentially meetings, we know that we want meetings to go down to 1 time per month, which is actively being worked on. So
It should probably say at least once a month, because I think currently it's at least twice.
Mm-hmm.
The intention would be to say at least once a month, so then if the commission at their discretion thought that they should have more meetings than that, that would be a possibility.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I agree with using that language. I would like for it to be more flexible, because earlier we discussed adopting ABA 47 into our ordinance. If that happens, I do foresee having more than 1 meeting a month.
I would ask why, but that's going to go into a whole different discussion, so I won't.
It's because of the closed sessions, because we will have closed sessions. We would, and also time, being what time is, do we have time to have a whole, like city council, do we have time to have?
Time and staff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm reading subsection A, y'all, sorry. Okay, so we are not changing A, that's general, like, public notice. C, all police commission meetings are subject to the Brown Act, we know that.
Actually, I'm sorry. So in A, we would be deleting except during the months of July and December, when regular meetings shall occur once a month. So if we go to at least once a month, we can delete
hold.
the except during.
Good catch. July and December.
Can you repeat that again? So we're going to remove except during the months of July and December.
If recommendation B from subsection B to go down to at least 1 meeting per month is adopted, then that would also require the removal of the language in subsection A that says, which shall occur at least twice a month except during the months of July and December when commission shall be held at City Hall.
Okay.
Because we wouldn't need to, because we're only having at least 1 meeting.
So you just made reference to B, that's actually all in A.
Oh,
So-
no, I referenced B because only if they adopt going to once per month.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it would be occur at least once each month,
Mm-hmm.
and then it ends there.
Correct.
Okay.
That makes sense.
D, in the interest of upholding and modeling a positive relationship between the citizens of Antioch and APD, the Antioch Chief of Police or his or her designee shall attend the beginning of all public meetings. We're all good with that? Seems like a yes?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay. We are all good with the no compensation clause?
Yes.
I will say that that is consistent with the rest of the boards in the city, and I don't even want to get into the HR stuff, so.
And budget, the city shall provide the police commission with funding for general operating expenses, training, and continuing education for all police commissioners. Good? All right. Training. The city shall provide appropriate funding for introductory training for new police commissioners as well as continued education for all members. Training shall cover the following but not be limited to the ordinance. Has anybody gotten training on the ordinance?
No.
I'm just saying, I'm just throwing it out there.
Well,
You have reviewed the ordinance several times.
and with the incoming and new commissioners, we could have it as kind of maybe like a regular yearly item that
Yeah.
there would be basically some type of discussion with it where somebody from the city attorney's office, most likely me, would present the ordinance, kind of maybe give some of the historical background on it, things of that nature. And with the training, I know that there were a bunch of other training proposals that were there. And Commissioner Kennedy, you brought up the having grace when it comes to the ride-alongs and things with that. I think that those would be kind of like soft requirements or recommendations, because there's a possibility that we're going to have people on the council who may not be able to participate in some of those things. Somebody who may not be able to participate in a ride-along due to whatever circumstances, or participate in the simulator, or the simulator is just broke.
Right.
So that would be something, with those recommendations, those are ones that, at least when they're going forward, the intention would be to propose it to the council that those are going to be kind of not hard requirements, like soft requirements.
And I think at one point in one of the discussions, there had been even the proposal of extending that from, I think, like 30 or 60 days to 90 or 120, in part to also acknowledge scheduling challenges, whether it's for commissioners or for
APD.
staff.
Yes, and that's, with the timing of it, that's really something that I think is ripe for discussion with council to see what they would like to do. It seems reasonable to me, but as I said, it's the council that are the decision makers there.
Makes sense. These are like ongoing trainings, like as I read through them, you're doing an amazing job in that ad hoc, by the way. So. Yes. Any other recommended changes to the training section?
No.
4-3110, powers and duties. We kind of went over this like early, we just kind of jumped to it. But to effectuate its purposes, the Police Commission shall, in compliance with California Public Records Act, Government Code 6250, Penal Code Sections 8327. Not gonna read all of this. We'll go straight into A. Proposed changes at its discretion or upon receiving direction from the City Council, including modifications to the Police Department's proposed changes to any policies or procedures of the Police Department that govern First Amendment assemblies, use of force, use of canines, use of de-escalation techniques on civilians, hate crimes, or bias-based policing, including profiling based on any of the protected characteristics identified by federal, state, or local law. All such proposed changes and modifications shall be submitted to the city council for approval or rejection. I know at one point I did speak with the chief about doing the recommendations to add the complaints into our list of purview that was here, and he did agree, and that was in his recommendations to council. So I still want to include
I do remember
Yeah.
speaking with you, Chair Taylor, about having that, and I do remember presenting it to council, and
Correct.
council did seem to be amenable to having the complaint policy be one of the purviews for this first item.
Thank you.
And that would be presented again when the ultimate ordinance is brought back to council.
Okay. Any other changes or amendments to Section A?
No, I don't think so.
Going once, going twice?
Are we just talking about page 6?
Page 6, Section A.
Oh, only section A?
Yeah, that's what I just read. We were just
Oh.
talking about Section A. You know, I'm just trying to be thorough because we've discussed this so many times. I just want to make sure we're clear this time. And then I will, take the task after we're done doing this. I'll take the task of reading it out loud, and then I will create a draft. Please. Thank you. One thing about Commissioner Kennedy, helps. Okay. So we're good on A? All right. So B, recommend city council approval or rejection of the police department's proposed changes to all policies and procedures of the police department that govern First Amendment assemblies, use of force, use of canines, use of de-escalation techniques with civilians, hate crimes, or bias-based policing, including profiling based on any of the protected characteristics identified by federal, state, or local law. Good?
I'm fine with that. I think what I'm not 100% clear on is, given where we are, like with the process right now, then go ahead.
Well, this is already in place, correct?
Yes.
And we have been doing this.
Correct.
Correct, and it's working,
Correct.
right? I'm okay with it.
Okay. It's not broken, don't fix it, right? Okay. It just kind of drills down further into B. It has A, B, and C, so we're good completely with B, yes? Okay.
And ABC would just, for the good of the order, just kind of shows what the process would be if there were to be a disagreement between the commission and the department, which I do not believe there really that's been an issue up until this point.
C, review and comment on at its discretion any other policies outside of the ones that are listed within the ordinance, procedures, customs, and general orders of the police department. All such comments shall be submitted to the chief of police, the city manager, and the city attorney. The chief of police shall provide a written response to the police commission upon request. For this one, I would suggest a time frame being added for the response. Time frame, 30 days? 45? Y'all good with that?
I'm good with that.
Yep.
Is staff okay with it?
Chief is not here.
It would be something when this is presented. I'm sure Chief Hill will be asked if that's something that he can do, and he'll be able to answer at that time.
Thank you. Yeah, because it's the chief that is being asked to respond. Okay, D, review the city council's proposed budget, advise whether budgetary allocations for the police department are aligned with the police department's policies and procedures. The police commission shall conduct at least one public hearing on the police department budget per budget cycle and shall forward to city council any recommendations for change. We did that last year, we need to do it again for this year.
I realize that this is probably not something to necessarily build into the ordinance, but I think that there's an inherent flaw right now in this process, because by the time we get and hold our public hearing, everything is pretty much already a foregone conclusion, because there have been multiple study sessions, and it has gotten to the budget's to a point where members of the public have been to the council meetings, and members of the public have already, so we either need to have involvement earlier in the process, or we need to alter this item.
It was actually one of the recommendations when the presentation was given by our city attorney and consultant Addington. This was one of the sections that was proposed for removal for the exact reason that you're speaking of. It happens in public at the council meetings. And so if we do not shift to an earlier time frame, as mentioned, it's kind of reiterating what already happens publicly.
And one thing I will also note is that, with the way the council does the budget, that may change depending on who's on the council. So it's one of those things, by keeping it here, at the very least, it maintains that requirement. So now, whether or not it's something that's effective or necessary, that may just depend on the council. This particular council has been going through the budgets very, very thoroughly, with many opportunities for discussion. So I don't think that the commission would be derelict in its duty if this was something that was not a priority at this time. However, that's something that you may want to consider when removing it, because a different council may come in and then the budget process may be different. And this ordinance was written at a different time where the budget process was different, which is why I bring that up.
Yeah, I think we should keep it highlighting that. What language were you speaking of when you brought that up? And/or suggestive time frame.
I think, to the assistant city attorney's point, part of this is predicated on the process. And, the current process, I think, has been predicated based not just on the council, but on the budget deficit that has had to be addressed. So they've had to become much more granular with how they've gone through the budget. But I think that we should probably, I don't have wording, I'm sorry, but somehow, somewhere, it should be earlier in the process. I mean, we shouldn't be holding a public hearing at our second meeting in June,
Right.
for example. And I don't know if it requires a public hearing. It could simply be a budget study session.
That's of course a recommendation that can be made to council to change it from a public hearing to a budget study session.
Where perhaps the police chief or a member of the department comes and presents what they see as their ask of the budget. But maybe, I think, at the very least, a study session other than a public hearing. I just don't know that a public hearing is necessary.
And just for the good of the commission, I think kind of the intention behind this was that there would be a public forum for people to discuss particularly the police budget, and this was the designated public forum. I'm not sure exactly how the budget was gone through before, but there may not have been that particular opportunity. What I can say is that currently there has been that particular opportunity multiple times. So I see why there's the conflict between what's currently happening now and what this says, and how it may conflict with one another. And my only advice was look at it a little bit more holistically. This is something that's not going to just exist at this point in time. This is something that hopefully we won't have to change again for a good long time, unless there's a substantive change in California state law.
I think if we changed it from a public hearing to a study session, that would make much more sense.
Mandatory, required.
Yeah, that there would be a study session on the budget. I don't know that saying specifically a public hearing is necessary. It's incredibly formal, and I think that a study session would provide the same opportunities.
Yeah, I'm okay with the study session. I just want to, if we do keep this section, I do want to, I would like it to be more clear about when this meeting happens, because if it happens in June, it's too late. Like, they've already made the decision, so like, you know, as to your point, so this meeting, if we do change this, I want to be specific to April or May to have this. Maybe even April, because May even is kind of too late.
Well, another thing I will bring up is that, you know, the former councils, they did 2-year budgets, if I remember correctly. This council's doing 1-year budgets. That makes a difference.
Yeah,
Because
a
when
big
if it's a 2-year budget, then do you want to have 2 budget meetings every budget? And that's why I think, you know, you want to look at, okay, I understand the desire for specifics, but then you also want to have the flexibility at the same time where you're not forced to do these things over and over and over again when they may not be effective. And that's why I say, you know, it may be helpful to kind of step outside of this current administration at times and just think, okay, what is the general thing? What's the general thing that we're looking to achieve? The general thing here to achieve with this particular item is that the public has a forum to discuss the budget that they may not get in front of city council. So by having this here, and I'm not advocating this way, I'm just something to put in mind. So then I just don't want to, I think the commission has enough work as is. I don't think that the commission necessarily wants to be duplicating work. And by having it say, you know, have the meeting, if you were to say, maybe have it in, it's hard to say because also the time when the budget's being finalized has also been moving around. So it's, the timing there is a little difficult. That's why I think this is worded in this way to make sure that that requirement's here and that it can still be used and effectuated.
That makes sense. So it's nothing stamped like March, May, things like that, because we have room to play with it. However, the language is there so that the community still gets the service of us discussing the budget publicly, essentially.
Yes.
But also, don't we don't want just a discussion. We want the public to have meaningful input, right? So I hear your point about being specific, but irregardless of a 1-year or 2-year budget, at some point there's a budget process, and if you were talking about it like the same month the budget is approved, then that's not meaningful at all. So if we can get, at least with this language, if we can be, I don't want to say use the word specific, but be very clear about allowing not just input but meaningful input, where folks can't have a say on what's going to happen in our budget. Because like I said earlier, you know, having that conversation in June is too late. Having it in April, May is kind of too late still, because most of these conversations that are approved for budgets that are approved in June happen in March and February. So really, you know, we need to ensure that the input is meaningful and that the public has meaningful input in these decisions. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and I want to make clear, I'm not advocating one way or the other. I'm just explaining why the vagueness here may exist. And the possible utility of it, it's up to you to determine whether or not you see the utility in it. Well, ultimately, it's up to the council to see whether they see the utility in it. It would be up to you to make the recommendation to the council to say, we see the utility in this, we don't see the utility in this, and then there can be a discussion on it.
Well, I have to agree with Commissioner Peterson because we have to be fair to the public. We have to allow the public to have input. And I don't believe that it is fair, not only to the public, but it's not fair to us as commissioners to be having a public hearing in the month of June, just for example, in the month of June. So I really believe, honestly, we should push for earlier month if it's possible.
It's possible.
February, I like the month of February. And I would say January, but that may be too soon, but at least February. I agree with you, Commissioner Peterson, 100%.
Would
Because it would be
having-
more meaningful.
Sorry.
It would be more meaningful versus waiting until June. Because isn't the budget set in the month of June?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Can I suggest something? What if we said the first quarter of that year? So that way we're not set with a month, but it could be between January and before April.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
thank you. I could go along with that.
Okay, so we're good in regards to, the only thing that we didn't kind of see meant was study session versus the public hearing portion. I know you two said study session.
I'm okay with that.
Commissioner Hall?
Well, I haven't really thought about it, but I say we should keep it as public hearing.
Okay.
Yes, to
So-
give the public an opportunity to give their input.
So
Yeah.
in the meeting, I mean, this is, we're recommending anyway, right? We can discuss the benefits of study session versus public hearing during the joint session. Okay. E, require the chief of police to submit an annual report to the police commission regarding such matters as the police commission shall require. Last year, we did get our annual report from the chief. This is something that I believe is, great for us. It kind of goes over the highlights of everything that we did, or that APD did alongside of us. We're good with this section, yes? Okay. Report at least once a year to the mayor, city council, and to the public to the extent permissible by law, the information contained in the chief's report, in addition to such other matters as are relevant to the functions and duties of the police commission. It's kind of like our annual report.
I would kind of view those as separate items,
Okay.
because I think we could incorporate certain things from the chief, but I also think that the chief gives sort of a report to the council, or the department gives some sort of a report to the council every year as well. I think that unless it's somewhere else, isn't really F kind of our annual report?
It is somewhere else, I believe. Yeah, public reports 4-3-111.
So there's a slight difference. Subsection F basically requires the commission to make the report to council on a yearly basis. The public reports section authorizes the commission to make other reports if they find necessary or helpful to the community. It's like an authorization statute in that
Okay.
thing. And basically saying, yeah, you can make these reports. Like if, let's just say you notice that there's a certain issue, you do an internal investigation or something like there's a particular issue that the commission keeps hearing about, and you decide you want to draft a report and give that to the public.
Outside of our annual report, we
Yes.
can issue another report, okay.
And then, of course, subsection B to the public report section kind of reiterates what's in the other public. It's basically, I would say those are functionally the same thing.
Okay. Good with F? G, H, I, J, we kind of went over those earlier. Everyone's good? Yes? And then we just went over, thank you to the city attorney, 4-3-111, public reports. Can I sweep pass? You wanna go over your favorite section?
I'd like it bolded and italicized.
I would just say, I do not believe the council would want to change that
Yeah, I
one.
don't think so.
And I don't want to recommend changing that one to them.
There are a lot of people that want to change CEQA, but we're not the
We're
ones.
not the one. Okay, section 5, severability. Should any provision of this ordinance or its application, any person or circumstance be determined by a court of competent jurisdiction to be unlawful, unenforceable, or otherwise void, that determination shall have no effect on any other provision of this ordinance or the application of this ordinance to any other person or circumstance, and to that in the provisions hereof are severable. Standard, I'm assuming?
That's totally standard language.
There we go. And then the publication effective date, we have no concern over. So we are good with the review of our ordinance, yes? Okay. So let me just go over what I noted before myself and Commissioner Kennedy begin the draft. And yes, I'm gonna utilize your volunteerism. So we started by stating that there are several sections of Article 2, specific to item 2-5.206 that we want to include regarding attendance and other sections that you named, right? Okay. And then I literally just wrote, we're gonna adopt language from the overall Article 2. Section D, 4-3.104, that also was regarding attendance, but also rules for decorum and conduct. We agreed to keep NACO, Code of Conduct present, but also said we were gonna do the City of Antioch's Code of Conduct whenever they create it.
And we're going to delete D, unexcused
are
absences from at least 3
deleting
meetings in a 1-year span of time.
Section 4-3.109, it was the restriction of the timeframes for training, so just kind of like giving grace, and we can talk about, you said 120, but
Well, not, yeah, something like that. But we also in 4.4-3-106 in meetings.
it's on the back. I haven't got there yet.
Oh, sorry.
They're out of order, I'm sorry, because
Okay, I just,
when you first started, you were like,
I'm
ahead,
sorry,
and then I
I'm
went
sorry.
back from the beginning to the front. Yeah, so it's gonna come later, I promise. Okay, so the restricting of timeframes for training, are we sticking to 120, or are we being generally graceful? I'm looking to the body.
I would say
I think we should be graceful, yeah, because,
Sounds like the body, okay.
yeah, because some of these trainings also will probably require your time during the weekday when
100%
you're working,
they do.
so, yeah, it's a little tough.
I know we've talked about giving people grace. I think we also, like, if we hit a 6-month mark, which is like 180,
Should we do like something like in grace, right, a ride along and a simulator experience once per year? Is that graceful?
I think that's graceful, you can figure that out.
yeah.
Okay.
And sit-along, a sit-along is not in the ordinance, but we've also talked about the importance of the sit-along with dispatch.
Correct. Okay, 4-3, 110, dash G, that's where AB 847 was mentioned. And then I also noted to, add the presentation as an agenda item. 4-3.102, you spoke of the language in the purpose for non-biased community-based policing to be added as an addition. 4-3-104, we talked about that's NACO in the Code of Conduct. 4-3-106, removal of July and December if Section B is adopted, which means we, as a commission, move from 2 meetings per month to at least once per month. And then 4-3.109, for A, it was the addition of the complaints into our purview. For section C, it was a 45-day response time for the chief for if we submitted any requests from him. D, fiscal year discussion, we just went over a study session versus public hearing, and the requirement of the whatever the session looks like to be held within the first quarter of the year.
And can I just to be clear, not the fiscal year, but the first quarter in the calendar year? Just wanted to make sure that
Correct.
we got that, yes.
Good? Good.
Just one thought, and I know we talked about public hearing versus study session, but just as a point of clarification, study sessions would also allow or permit public participation just as just like a public hearing, correct? But without the like formal gavel in, gavel out structure?
Yes, so they would functionally be the same thing. The big difference would be there's notice requirements for the cities when it comes to a public hearing that are longer than what the normal notice requirement for a regular meeting would be. It's Ms. Gomez, is it 14 days for a public hearing?
Correct, 14 days.
So that means there would just be a notice that would go out 14 days before the agenda, or 11 days before the agenda would be posted, saying there's going to be a public hearing about this at the next meeting, and then the normal agenda would still go out with the normal notice requirements of 3 days. Then under the public hearings, under the current rules that exist, there is an opponent and proponent for what's for the topic. Those two parties would get 10 minutes to speak, and then the public comment period is 5 minutes instead of 3 minutes. So if it was a study session, then every member of the public would get 3 minutes to speak. That would be, so there is still that, no matter what, there's still the opportunity to be heard. It's just the amount of time to be heard functionally. And then, of course, the additional notice requirement, which has an administrative component to it, but wouldn't necessarily have a component that the commission would be responsible of taking care of. Aside from, of course, letting us know that that would be the wish with enough advance notice. If, say, you decide you want to have the public hearing and you give us 7 days, we're going to have to decline that. So that's the other difficulty. So it requires a little bit more forward planning on everybody's part.
Thank you. Okay. Item 5-3, commission discussion for community listening session, presented by Commissioner Kennedy.
So in the spirit of time, I don't know that we want to go through this in as much detail as we might have gone through it. It's up to you all, but.
I'm fine.
Okay. So basically, the community engagement ad hoc has been working on trying to get some foundation for listening sessions. This document that's in the packet is a compilation of our discussions. It's also utilizing some a foundational document that Vice Chair Williams had sent to the group. It also includes some feedback from Mr. Sapal, which I think really helped kind of round out the edges, if you will. Our goal right now is to launch this on the 10th of June with the Council of Teens. We're looking at that group for a couple of reasons. One is they have a total of 40 to 50 members from all over Antioch. The other rationale there is we have talked, and many members of the community have talked time and again about listening and hearing from our youth. The other thing is that that staff, and I had a chance to talk with Lene Jackson, we have built-in outreach. They can email the group, they can announce this. We talked about offering them the opportunity to bring a guest, bring a friend, right? So the document that you have in front of you sort of lays out the guidelines or what would be sort of the meeting flow for a listening session. It talks about the purpose, an agenda, sample. Hi, I'm Commissioner so-and-so. This is why I'm here. We'd like to hear your comments. What is important to you regards to public safety and policing? And we set some parameters, right? The please, listen, be respectful, maintain confidentiality, et cetera. And also to emphasize the fact that we're here to listen to them. We're not here to debate it or rebut it. We're here to listen to what they have to say. And then we've got a list of guiding questions. Now, obviously, depending on the group and the time frame, this is a whole lot of questions. We may use all of them. We may use part of them, depending on the group and the discussion, and trying to be respectful of people's time. At the end, we would want to identify the themes or the consistent comments and concerns. Make sure that what we heard, okay, so if we heard you correctly, the color of the sky is blue today, right? And then, we do a closing, make them aware of the next APOC meeting. We can provide our contact information, and then we would indicate to them that we're going to do a report out on a quarterly basis. That's sort of the goal right now, and that we would provide information on what the top concerns are, top reform recommendations, recommendations for APOC, APD commitments, timelines, et cetera. And also we would want to emphasize that their feedback is important. What the information that we obtain is not going to just sit on a shelf or in a computer, and that we're going to document what we hear and present it publicly to APOC, share it with APD leadership where appropriate, and use it to inform policy recommendations, training priorities, and accountability decisions, and that we will also publicly report back to the community on what we heard and what actions have been taken. So this is sort of the jumping off point. If folks want to provide feedback and specific edits tonight, that's great. And if folks want to send those via email, happy to incorporate them. Like I said, the goal is to be able to launch this on the 10th with the Council of Teens.
Thank you. Is there any public comment?
Yes, we have 2 public comments. Crystal Law.
Is this a regular public comment or on what you guys were just talking about?
On what she was just presenting on.
Okay, so I want to understand why we're not having the ability for the kids in the Sycamore corridor to know about this, because a lot of them don't. I'm not sure if it's just going out to schools or if it's just going out to a certain directive of kids, but it would be nice for the kids that don't already go. There's a lot of kids that don't go to school over there. I don't know if you guys know that, but it's a lot of kids that actually don't go to school. So they're out all day long. They're running around all day long. If we can get them involved in something like this, I think that it would be very healthy for them and something to give them something to look forward to instead of coming in the back and having to cook with me all day. It's nice. I love them, but, it would give them something else to encourage them to get it done, to get something different done if they were able or had the ability to see that there's something else for them to do, because at this point there's no communication with any of the children over there. And so that's my concern.
Thank you.
No further public comment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Discussion?
Yes, I just have a question, Commissioner Kennedy. Have we thought about adding a question regarding complaints? You know, I know this is the first listening session will take place on June 10th with the Council of Teens, but we're going to use this as our, you know, we're going to use this as our guide in future listening sessions, correct? So, because what I wanted
Yes.
a question to be asked, have you filed a complaint with APD? And also ask the question, what was the outcome?
I do not believe you can legally ask those questions.
Okay.
I
All
think if somebody wants to provide that information, we can't stop them, but I would not advise the board to ask those questions, because that gets into a lot of privacy issues. And
Okay.
that could open the board members themselves to liability, in my opinion.
Okay.
Or the commission, that could open the commissioners to liability, because that is information that is generally protected under California state law.
Okay.
And I think that one of the things to emphasize is this is our first of what will be many. It's not like this is the only one that we're going to do. And like I said, we will also be reaching out to the seniors. We're looking at ways to build a foundation using networks that we know have like built-in outreach. We're going there because we know we've got people there to get this started. And the hope is that as it manifests itself and continues, then we will have built a particular foundation where if we come to the Sycamore, there will be some evidence that we've had conversations, we've heard what people have said, and and we've reported out on it, so that it's not just something where people think, oh, this is just one more thing where they're going to come and listen to us and nothing's going to happen. So I think we're looking at broadening this. We're just trying to get it off the ground with some tangible people that we know are in place.
But may I add that I believe that before we have a listening event with the seniors, that possibly we may want to consider the Sycamore corridor, since that was what our vice chair had proposed. I think we should focus on that as being our second event. I agree what I just heard from our community member, that there are teenagers, there are young adults in that community who will benefit from a listening session. And the seniors, they will benefit also, but we first should focus on the community that have been impacted the most. And I'm not going to go back to what happened, but I'm listening to our community member here on tonight. So I would like for us to take the Sycamore corridor into consideration tonight.
And I think that when the ad hoc meets the next time, we can start to flesh out additional places. If commissioners have ideas, I think that, we've had conversations, for example, with the Family Justice Center. That I think is a great opportunity to, go to the open house, talk to the people that are there, have conversations that say, hi, are there appropriate ways that we can interact with your clients? We're going to meet with the staff at REACH. Now, we can't have direct interaction with the participants in that program. However, staff may be able to give us other thoughts and ideas for people to reach to. We've also talked about working with Genesis Church and doing something at the Life Center. You know, we are trying to get something off the ground so that we can build off of it. And I think that if folks have ideas, and this is not one of those things where it is simply the community engagement ad hoc that can or has to do these, I think that in an ideal world, there would probably be at least 2 of us at an event so that there's somebody that can kind of facilitate and somebody that can take notes and or trade off. But you know, this is something that we can all work on and can all participate in.
Yeah, that was actually my question, so I'm happy you said that. As I was reading over this, I was wondering how the data was going to be collected. So again, thank you for saying that there should be at least 2 commissioners at each of these events so that there is someone to take notes. I do agree that the Sycamore area should be prioritized for these listening sessions. It's not a secret that majority of the incidents or the people that live in that area suffered harm. And so, yeah, I do agree that we should take note of that and make sure to emphasize the need to listen to them and be present for them. But yeah, for the most part, this looks good to me. I commend y'all for I think we've all been kind of waiting to jump off the cliff, right, for the community engagement portion. So ready to go. But yeah, that was kind of my major concern when I read over it. Was like, okay, how are we collecting the data? What was your idea about getting the majority of these questions answered? Did you think about roundtables or like writing these questions on cards and placing them on tables? General grouping out to expand the reach versus the talking out. You know what I mean?
Well, and I think that that's a great. See, thank you so much. And I think part of that is obviously going to be predicated on the size of the group we have.
Absolutely.
If we have a group of 10, we're probably going to keep the group of 10.
Right.
If we have a group of, say, 30 or 35, yeah, we may want to break them up into groups. However, if we break them up into groups, we will have to have bodies there to facilitate those groups.
Very true.
So, and I think that some of this it's going to be an evolutionary process, obviously. It's not like, here we have this document, this is it, we're done, period. We're going to learn from the process, and we're going to say, oh, hey, this worked well here, but it didn't work so well here. What do we need to do differently or better?
I think it's a good starting point for sure.
Madam Chair and Commissioners, not to interrupt, but you are coming to the 9:30 time. If you want to extend the meeting, you will need to take a vote for that. Thank you.
I move we extend the meeting.
I second.
Commissioner Benoni,
Aye.
Commissioner Peterson,
Aye.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Aye.
Commissioner Lacioja,
Aye.
Vice Chair Williams is absent, and Commissioner Solis is absent. The motion passes to extend the meeting. Do you know by what time? I'm so sorry, Chair
It's
Taylor.
okay, it's late.
Do you know how long you want to extend the meeting?
30 minutes should be fine.
By 30 minutes. The motion passes. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, so for me, this looks fine as a starting point.
I agree. I think it's very neutral with the guiding questions, and I think they'll elicit some unbiased responses. So I agree.
I echo Commissioner Benoni's comments.
And please, if folks go home and they look at their packet in 2 days or 3 days and go, just, call, text, email, and say, hey, would you consider?
Appreciated. Okay, public comment.
We have 2 public comments, Crystal Law and then Leslie May. Thank you.
A whole speech written, my bad. Okay. So I kind of touched on a little bit earlier, but I'm not going to preach to you guys. I'm just telling you. In Ephesians 6:12, it says, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." Where I work at, where I live at, I see it all day long. I see it downtown. I see it everywhere. And so what I want everybody to understand is that Sycamore didn't just start out as like the police just coming in, right? It's been a consistent thing since I've been here since 2004. And so as much as I don't like going back to it and keep reminding the community that it was an issue, you know, there's still so much hurt and pain. You heard the mom who came in here earlier. That was from 2007. So it's still a lot of hurt and pain and a lot of trauma that these kids have grown up with from their parents to their parents. It's a generational thing. It's a generational cycle. From one hustle mentality to another, from one hurt and pain to another. People lost their children. They lost their grandparents, lost their grandkids. Aunts and uncles have lost from shootings to killings to everything. And so it's generational issues that we're trying to come up against here, right? And as I realize, we're not all ministers, we're not people who have, you know, we're not all churchy. However, to me, this is a spiritual battle. And so what I need to get across is that if this is a spiritual battle for us, for me, right? For me seeing it and seeing all the hurt, talking about with people about all the hurt and all the pain. It brings it back to the people who are on the commission, okay? Mr. Solis Jr. was a part of, you know, I'm going to say it again, and you guys have the allowance to recommend him to not be here, okay? You have the allowance to say, hey, he's not fit to be in this position. Now, that's all your decision, but I'm just reminding you, he has been a part of the Antioch City Council. He should have known that there was racism here, just as the mayor should have. He should have known that there was issues, just as the mayor, just as Freitas should have. There's been thousands of complaints put out there, but we're going on back to the same old people who have continuously been in this community who should have already known. This is supposed to be a separate civil issue, right? You guys are allocated as civilians, people who don't get paid for this position, right? So if that's the case, there's nothing that this man is going to be able to do on this board that's going to help the people and the families that have been hurt and traumatized, because he doesn't understand what racism is. He's never gone through, I don't know, he just acts like he's never gone through it. He said, why didn't people just come through and say, well, sir, they did. There's been thousands of complaints. So he doesn't need to be on the board, and we need to recall him off.
Good evening once again. I want you to also, don't forget about Cavallo Road. Because, see, we just keep talking Sycamore. We also need to do this on Cavallo. And I want you all to know there's been crime all over Antioch. But the majority for years has been in this District 1, which to me means that this commission needs to be also working directly with our city council person, Tamisha Torres Walker, who is over District 1. Because she can give you a lot of insight, maybe more than you already have, to the issues and things that are plaguing this district. I like where I live in District 1 because I like to hear children playing. I've been all over Antioch. I don't hear it unless I'm near a park. I don't see kids playing on the streets, riding bikes, coming from this place and that place and meeting up and having fun, playing tag, playing football, basketball. But in this neighborhood, I see that. and that brings my heart joy. We're talking about biblical. What does it say in there? We can go through everything about what you're supposed to do with the children. And so that also gives me a chance to watch them. And if I see or hear something, I'm like, all right, and it stops. Because they have learned to have respect for me as that little old lady sits on her porch. But what I'm saying is I can live anywhere. But here, I like that. I like the sound of the train, and I like the sound of the whistles or the horns from the ships that come through, because I'm a water baby, I'm a Pisces, so all of that just is like, this is food for my soul being here in District 1 where I live. But I think that we need to do more. The listening sessions, we need to really go out and target the youth, the young kids from ages 8 to even 30. 40, 50, also the seniors too, but the seniors, nobody ever listens really to the seniors. They leave them out here. So that's why a lot of seniors just stay home. They don't go out in the evening. They don't go to these meetings. They don't want to speak up. There's no way to send a comment in like it used to be where they would read your comment out during public comments. They don't do that anymore. So I just want you to, focus on those areas, but also really don't forget Cavallo. Right now it's been kind of calm, but that Cavallo corridor has been something else. And also, it takes more than 1 or 2 people showing up to the events. So every one of you commissioners need to be at each event. Thank you.
Thank you. Ad hoc committee report outs. Please remember, we got our little 3 minutes, but keep it on topic to the actual commission, please. Commissioner Kennedy, you have a report out?
I think you've kind of heard our report out, but we also have a meeting with city attorney on Wednesday afternoon to talk about how we can handle doing like a larger event with more than 3 commissioners in attendance and remain in compliance or make sure that we're not out of compliance with the Brown Act. And then we are also meeting with Jaden,
PIO.
The PIO, to talk about the creation of some graphics and some outreach material so that we can perhaps be more effective overall in making sure that our meetings are put out via social media and in some other ways, whether it's flyers that we can give people to put out or whatever. But we're going to have that discussion with him this week also.
That's on Wednesday?
Jaden's going to be Thursday at 4 o'clock.
Okay. Can I set up a time with you or whoever? Because I want to follow up with Crystal about the flyers for Sycamore.
Sure. Either or both.
3 is the crowd, right? No. Okay. And my bad, when I said that, I didn't realize we were on ad hoc report outs. I thought we were on commissioner report outs. So the stay on topic thingy. Yeah. Okay. For budget, I can go ahead and report out.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So for budget, we have not met, but that's because the chief is preparing a report that will be publicly displayed for the entire commission first meeting of June. We are actually waiting on a new budget to be delivered to us because the budget that we received had some incorrect date on it.
Do you have information on ours?
On your
our budget? Not mine personally.
That's the budget I'm talking
commission's
about.
budget.
That's the budget I'm talking about. We're gonna have a presentation, full presentation on it next meeting. Have you met with Devin for?
The policing practices ad hoc has not met, but we plan to meet this Thursday.
Great. And y'all reported out about the Family Justice Center?
Yes.
And about the collaborations, all that good stuff?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Just real quick, as far as the Family Justice Center, I think that I would suggest that we kind of try to make sure that whatever policies and practices is doing with them, that y'all keep in touch with community engagement and vice versa, so that we make sure that we're either not doing stuff that's redundant or that we're not stepping on each other's toes.
Devin on community engagement?
Yes.
So that's the
I believe that was
intertwinement.
the.
That was the plan, right?
Yeah, that was the disposition of our last
Yes.
meeting, yeah.
Yes, so whatever in regards to community engagement, he was supposed to be the liaison to bring that back over there to y'all. Okay.
Thank you for letting us know.
Yes, well, he was supposed to let you know, that's the point. But, yes, and then training,
We're meeting Thursday at 2.
okay. Okay, so upcoming future agenda items. I have, the request for the AB 847 presentation from the city attorney, if that's possible, because I know you have to look into it. The presentation of the draft recommendations for the ordinance. The chief will be presenting, the budget for the commission. And open.
Do we have, it occurs to me that at our June 1st meeting, if there is a shot that we could get an idea of what the agenda for the study session or the joint study session is going to be. Obviously, we're all our own people, but it occurs to me that it would be beneficial if we had a handle on what that's going to look like in the event that the ad hocs should have something ready. If there's certain things that we need to make sure that we're ready to talk about or to
discuss.
answer.
That would be on the city, yeah.
I'm sorry.
She's like, one more time.
Do you mind repeating that? Sorry. So you were asking about the draft agenda for the joint meeting between city council, yes. So yes, that's what we were discussing. So I will be speaking with the mayor and then just talking about and see what we can come up with a draft to provide before.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Any other items suggested for the next agenda?
Well, I know I had, probably can't do it on for the next meeting, but I wanted to get a update on the flock, how the data on the flock.
Oh, that was requested, yes.
Yes,
Okay.
how that's going, because I've been paying attention, not only here in the city of Antioch, but across the nation, and it's working. It's working, and especially in those situations where there has been shootings, so I just wanted to get an update on that.
Anything else?
It doesn't have to be at the next meeting, but one of the things we should probably take a look at is I think we have got a couple of ad hoc committees that are expiring or that are coming
June.
up. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep, June. So they will come up for June 18th and either be most likely extended because they're ongoing. So yeah, and I don't want. Well, we'll talk about that there, but yeah. Also, we need to add Mr. Solis to an ad hoc, and we never formed or completed the add-on for the ad hoc for the RFP hiring committee. Yeah, so we need to do that too. Okay, so I have a flock update by OHA, ABA 47 presentation, Taylor, presentation of draft recommendation, myself and Kennedy.
Does there exist a Word document, or does the ordinance exist in Word?
Yes, there is a current working draft of the ordinance, but that will be shared once it's ready to present.
Can we just get a Word version of?
We're talking about the current ordinance?
Yeah, the current one in Word.
Yes, I can, I know there is a copy of it somewhere, there must be, but I can circulate some workable copy for the commission if that's what you would like.
Thank you.
It occurs to me that it would be easier for you and I to work out of a
Yeah,
Word
I
document.
agree.
If somebody could send that to us, that would be awesome.
I think that can be done.
Thank you. Noted. Everyone's okay with the agenda items that are listed? All right, cool. General report outs, 3 minutes per commissioner.
I have nothing to report out.
I have nothing to report out.
Wow. Well, I have a lot to report out, but I'm not going to take up those 3 minutes because I am tired. Today has been one of those days for me. First, let me announce that about a month ago, we lost someone that was very dear to East County, Delano Johnson. He was the executive director of All-in-One Bay Point. This was a nonprofit organization that helped residents who were in need with food, clothing. Every year, Mr. Delano, he held a Thanksgiving event, and he also had other events throughout the year. He's no longer with us. So his memorial service will be on Sunday, May 31st at 2 p.m. at Ambrose Center in the city of Bay Point. It's a great loss for this area, for East County. This past Saturday, the East Contra Costa County branch of the NAACP, we had our Freedom Fund Gala, and it was wonderful. And I'm just going to give a short summary. Our guest speaker was attorney Adante Pointer, and I'm sure all of you are familiar with him. He gave us, a summary of what all has been going on and what all he has been doing. And he mentioned that the city of Antioch was one of the first cities that, rallied together to try to fix what had been done. And I'm not going to go into any details because we all know what all had happened. But also, there were individuals who received awards. Reverend Pastor and First Lady Perkins of First Baptist, which were Pastor Perkins was my pastor. He was the one that allowed me to exercise my gifts in his pulpit. So he was awarded a community award. He will be retiring as pastor in October. Also, a reporter received an award. Anzar Hassan, I may be mispronouncing the name, but you all should be familiar with him. I know you are, because he mentioned your name.
Oh.
Yeah, he mentioned that you and Devin, it's people like you and Devin and Frank Sterling that really brought everything to the surface. And I know I appreciate you all. Also, Council Member Tamisha Torres Walker received an award. She was not present, but somebody was there to receive her award. Then last but not least, Catherine Wade. She received an award. And she gave a powerful testimony of her story. Then we had many dignitaries. Mayor Dion Adams, of Pittsburgh, she was present. Our supervisor, Chanel Scales Preston, was present. Many others. The vice mayor of Brentwood was also there. Devin and I, we were present because we are, Devin is the third vice president and I am the second vice president. So APOC was represented. And what I've done, I have bought some programs.
Oh.
So if anyone is interested, let me know and I can give you one.
I'll take one.
Okay, and then
Thank you.
what I wanted to say to everyone is that there's still more work to do. And what I mean is that people are still hurting out there. But not only that, but we're in a city that is plagued by crime. And I know people are looking at us, looking up at us because they want us to be able to answer their questions. And I know people are coming to me quite often. They don't ask questions, but they ask for prayer.
Yes.
So I just want to let everybody know that there is still work to do, and I'm done because I could go on and on and on.
Thank you. Do you have a report out?
Anna, thanks for being here tonight. Welcome to your first APOC meeting.
Thank you.
And just another shout out to the presentation from Public Safety.
Yes.
And the fact that all the staff showed up. That's an indication of a group of people that are getting some things done, and just that whole team concept was great to see. And then otherwise, I attended the District 1 Neighborhood Watch meeting, and another fine job by Sergeant Fashner. Oh, he's gone.
He's gone.
Just, I think that this was a good meeting. I know it was a long meeting, but I think we got a lot. We talked about a lot, and I think we're making progress. And that's what counts.
That's right. So for me, I mentioned to you all earlier, I created the new spreadsheet. I'm not sure if you were able to see it, for how we can collaborate now moving forward on our agenda items. The goal is for us all to utilize the tool, right? So we are all accountable for what is recorded on the dais and then what is presented in the future. And yes, jump in, look at it, play with it, add stuff. Add your name specifically in your summaries. And then I did send an email in regards to just making sure that we're supported properly as a commission. Over the years since our inception, we've kind of fluctuated on having staff support and or not. It was mentioned earlier that council said that we should be, all commissions should look similar, yet there are commissions within the city that are staffed and ones that are not. And we carry a heavy load. So we understand the limitations. I know the city is struggling right now, but for us to take the strides that we need a little bit of support. So you guys were CC'd on that email. And so, yeah, that's my general report out. Are there any staff communications?
I actually have one, and just, this isn't item for discussion, but I did look and see the planning commissions when they appoint their chairperson, and they appointed in April. So that may be something for the commission to consider if they want to change that.
Oh, okay.
That's the perfect report out at 9:53.
All right, next meeting is June 1st, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. here at City Hall. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn at 9:53 p.m.
Is there a second?
A second.
Roll call, please.
Thank you. Commissioner Ben-Ani,
Aye.
Commissioner Peterson,
Aye.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Aye.
Commissioner Lacioja,
Aye.
Chair Taylor,
Aye.
Vice Chair Williams is absent, and Commissioner Solis is absent. The motion passes to adjourn the meeting at 9:54. Thank you.